All right, welcome back, Truth Seeker. Monday, November 11th, 2019. It's Veterans Day. We got basketball, hockey, and, of course, Monday Night Football. As per usual, we'll start off with a little bit of review, and then we'll get to today's games. And, again, I'm really annoyed with myself about yesterday's football games because I remained neutral on games where we had pretty much the right read on nearly every game. And again, I was just doubting those upsets, and man, shouldn't have doubted the numbers because it could have been a really great day. And I hope for some of you guys you did take the risk anyway because the numbers were there for some of those upsets. So if some of you just had more courage than I did yesterday, you probably had a great day. But let's get to it. So yesterday, basketball, the Nuggets at the Timberwolves was a and here, let me get the scores up while I do it. This ended up being a nail-biter of a game. I know Denver didn't quite cover the spread yesterday. I believe they were a 3-point favorite and they won by 2. But this basketball game yesterday, the Nuggets and the Timberwolves, close call. There was a chance that the T-Wolves could have improved to 3-1 at home. Denver does have that 31 connection. It normally doesn't play as hard as the 32, but we've already seen it show up a couple times this year, so maybe this year it's going to be in effect. Saw that the Nuggets could get that 78th win on a Sunday. Sunday has the Gematria 78. And the notes, if they lost, might put them on, well, I guess it's not going to matter if they don't win. They're not going to become 3-3 in that one game. So it wasn't real clear what would happen in that one. But Timberwolves, they had a shot. If you took them with the points, they did cover. The Pacers in the Magic game looked pretty good, though. The Magic had a chance to fall to 3-7. Pacers is 37. Plus, they had a chance to become 3-3 at home, and Magic's 33. Indiana's also 137, the 33rd prime. So pretty much overlap numbers. And the Pacers did win down in Orlando. Pacers are rolling after getting off to a slow start. So Pacers got it done there. And then in the Hornets and 76ers game, 76ers were huge favorites. I don't think they covered. Again, that's why I don't like spreads. Yeah, they only won by 8. They were a 14-point favorite. But what made sense about this game is the Hornets picking up their 51st loss against the 76ers on the day, leaving 51 days left in the year. Plus, by the 76ers winning and becoming 6-3, they face the Cavaliers next. And Cavaliers and Cavs, their abbreviated name, they both equal 63. So they'll go in 6-3 to face the Cavs. So that made sense. The Bucks and Thunder game, Bucks were a big favorite on the road. I don't believe they covered either. But they had the better riddle to win because, let's see, Thunder play at Indiana next. So if the Thunder lose this game to the Bucks, Milwaukee has the 46 connection. And if they lose their next game at Indiana, they'll be 4-7. So I think that's likely. And again, that's the point of reading the notes and comprehending what's there because it often sets you up for the day and for what's to come. Just like how you had the caller call in at the beginning of the NFL live stream. He said, I heard what you said about the Lakers winning those 4 straight games. And he rolled his money and turned it into $10,000 just off those Lakers 4 straight games. Again, I personally don't advocate for betting that big. I'm too conservative a person to do that, but again, that's the beauty of this knowledge because oftentimes it will reveal the road ahead to you. And that's how we get so many futures right. But the other thing that stood out here is the Bucks' next away game is also Indiana. So both teams are playing Indiana upcoming. And if the Bucks won, they were going to become 5-2 away. And Indiana's also 52. So both teams' future match made sense so long as the Bucks won. And again, they did. And for all the people who come here and say, well, it doesn't matter if they don't cover, again, that's wrong. People win big money here by parlaying games and not getting beat by spreads. So, I mean, the only way, sometimes there is a riddle where you can see that they'll cover the spread. Again, just an example, maybe a team's going for the 6th win of the season. It's a 21-date numerology and the spread's 5.5. 21's the 6th triangular number. And those types of games, you know, the spread will often come through. Caller?
Hey, Zach. So I noticed a few things on your notes. One thing is, like, you put the NFL picks on your notes. I think for like week 10.
Uh-huh.
Can you do the same thing for NBA? Can you put the picks down on your notes as well?
Sure, I can, but I'm pretty much showing you my picks by showing you what's underlined.
Yeah, true. But I mean, for me, I know for me it's like a little easy to follow because I've been following your work for a little while now. But for some other people, like when you look through the comments, some people are still having kind of a lot of confusion as
Well, the one guy leaving a bunch of comments is also a troll, so I'm not too worried about his comments.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I feel like it'd just be helpful if you could just put the picks just clearly so everybody can see, just like how you did the NFL. Just kind of keep it consistent. Just my thought. But
Okay.
from my own work, your notes actually look pretty good for today. So keep it up.
Okay, see you. Yeah, I mean, to me, if it's like, do I need to write what team I'm picking if I'm underlining the key thing that stands out? I mean, so I don't know what conclusion you come through. Nothing. Notice nothing's underlined in this game because I think this game's tight. This game, I'm underlining two things. Well, this one I underlined one thing right here. Probably should have underlined this too. But you know, I mean, if you read and look at what's underlined or what's bolded, it should tell you exactly what way the lean is. So anyway, the Cavs and Knicks game, I didn't like this game, but what was standing out about this, I know the Cavs won this one, is the Knicks were on 111 wins, and the date of this game was 11/10, 1-1-1. And so I was wondering, maybe that means they're going to stay on that. Cavs did roll in that game. Yeah, they beat the Knicks by 21, so sometimes things like that, though, they look good and they don't come through, so I just wanted to observe it. It's hard to trust the Cavs on the road. It's hard to trust either of those teams. But that ended up being the winning thing there, all the 111. So let's see. The Nets and the Suns, what stood out about this game is the Nets falling to 1-3 away. Again, Nets 13, Brooklyn's 41, the 13th prime. And the Suns play the Lakers next. Lakers and Arizona are both 42, so the Suns improved to 4-2 at home to host the Lakers next. So, again, the things that are underlined here is what's telling you what I'm looking at, the things that stand out the most. And also, I imagine people watch my live streams. I mean, I'm really redundant. When don't I talk about 13 and the Nets? So, anyway, Suns look good there. They got it done. And I think they beat them pretty good, too. Yeah, 138-112. So that was that. And then, whoops, I'm on hockey all of a sudden. The Hawks and Blazers game, this one, I didn't trust this game because it was hard for me to believe that the Blazers would lose at home to the Hawks. Portland hits hard, or 37 hits hard in Portland, but the 37 also had a chance to go against the Hawks. 37's the 12th prime. They had a chance to become 1-2 away. So, anyway, I wanted to stay away from this. The Portland Trail Blazers are beat up right now. They got two guys from the G League, so I was like, maybe they could fall to 3-7. I don't know. But they did win that game, so notice nothing's underlined. And then the Raptors and Lakers game, Toronto equals 72. And I did notice that both teams could become 7-2, but in light of the fact that the Lakers had a chance to win this game, and then they play Phoenix next, and Phoenix equals 91, 91 hits hard with Phoenix, I just wanted to see what the Lakers were going to do in this game. I was a little bit worried about the 72, and notice I didn't underline anything here. So again, games where things were underlined, we were right on the cue on, for, at least for winners. Again, and that's why I don't like spreads. But imagine if you'd parlayed the Suns, the Bucks, the 76ers, and the Pacers, you would have been win-win-win right there. So anyway, I can also write down the pick, but yeah, anyway, I mean, I think it's pretty clear what I do with the notes, so. Caller?
Hey, good afternoon, Zach.
What's up, Victor?
How was your weekend?
Well, it would have been better if I had more balls on Sunday to call the football games, but other than that, it was okay.
Yeah, no, I understand that feeling too. Just a couple of things I noticed about the Laker game, and again, I just want to say I appreciate you, Zach, for years now, because you were the first person to officially put out the knowledge about Gematria. But last night specifically, that game, if you pay attention to it, from that game to LeBron's birthday was exactly 7 weeks and 2 days.
Oh, nice.
LeBron also came into that game all time versus Toronto, 53-14. Of those games, he was 12-2. Those are postseason, but he came into the game 41-12 against Toronto during the regular season. Zach, I could not believe that.
So he became
the 13 loss.
How did I not see that yesterday? Did I forget to look at that? Okay, so he became 41-13, both LA numbers, 41-13, and then they fell to 4-1 at home too. So yeah.
Exactly. So just paying attention to that, I was like, okay, that's a great indicator as well. And then this might be a stretch, but looking forward, the Los Angeles Clippers, if you write up the whole name, it does equal 207. So in numerology, we dropped a zero, the reflection of 72 is 27. I saw that there as well. But I do want to bring to your attention the things that I'm seeing long-term with this. So LeBron Ramon James equals 79. He's won 7 out of his first 9 games. Yesterday was 21 date numerology. Title, when you write it out, equals 21. And if you pay attention to his 2 losses this year, they've come against both Kawhi teams, his old team and his new team.
Right. Yep, that's true.
And the first one came October 22nd, exactly 20 days to last night when they lost. If you include the end date, they were on a 7-game winning streak. When you write out 7, it equals 20.
Wait, so that they lost to the Clippers on October 20th, and then they lost yesterday on the 10th.
October 22nd. They lost to the Clippers.
22nd. Okay, I see. Yeah.
Let me see if there was anything else I saw. Yeah, I believe that's it. That was it. But it was a big indicator. I was looking for that 7 out of 8 and that 7 out of the 9.
The 41-13 was a dead giveaway. Maybe I forgot to look at it yesterday. The huge thing to forget to look at, but yeah, 41-13. I mean, that would have told the story right there. Those are huge LA numbers. So.
Yeah, and I tried to get a hold of you before the game, but I know you were busy. But yeah, they were big underdogs yesterday, and Toronto had half their team playing, so that was another thing that was kind of cosmetic as possibly a good reason to go the other way. All the money was on the Lakers last night. Yeah,
man.
All right, but that was it about the game, and just down the road, we always see these games that are specific indicators. So I just wanted you to pay attention to that 7 out of 8 and that 7 out of 9 yesterday on the 21. And also for today, I'm looking for the Clippers to get that, pay homage to that 73rd NBA Finals, and both teams are coming 7-3.
Yeah. If the Clippers win today, Kawhi Leonard will be 8-2 versus the Raptors, and Toronto Raptors equals 82. So does pro basketball, like the 82-game season. So.
Wait, are they 7-2 now?
Kawhi's 7-2 versus the Raptors in his career. He'd be 8-2 with a win.
Oh, okay, but what's the regular season record? Is it
That is the regular season record.
Right?
Kawhi's 7-2 versus the Raptors.
Oh, 7-2. Okay.
He'll be 8-2 with a win.
Maybe I was wrong on that one, but thank you.
Yeah, no problem, man. All right, see you. Yeah, here, I'll just show you this real quick about Kawhi. This is his stats versus the Raptors. So, he has 7 wins and 2 losses. Toronto Raptors equals 82, just like pro basketball. All right, let's look at hockey yesterday. Ever since the day ESPN stopped putting the points on the page, which is really weird that ESPN, I've never seen ESPN not keep track of points for hockey before. But ESPN, ever since they took the points down off the page, the hockey riddles have not been coming through as much. I'm just going, what in the world is going on, man? They took the points off the page, and now the riddles aren't as consistent. I was wondering if the teams that could hit 21 points on Sunday, since Sunday equals 21 and it was 11 plus 10, might be a theme. So the Panthers yesterday. Hold on. Caller?
Yeah, Zach, I just wanted to clarify my thought. What I meant is that the Clippers, they're 6-3 on the season, so if Kawhi won, both teams would be 7-3. Toronto would be 7-3 with a loss, and the Clippers would be 7-3 with a win tonight.
The reflection at 37?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point, man.
All right, no problem.
All right, sweet. Okay, so Panthers were, I believe were they the favorite yesterday? Maybe they were a slight favorite. Yeah, Panthers were a slight favorite, so they got the 21st points on Sunday, which equals 21. On the date, they had a 21 connection. So Panthers won. And then the Stars and the Jets game, Winnipeg had a shot at the 21st points, and they won. And I think Winnipeg had a few other things that lined up for them as well. So, yeah, Winnipeg Jets, if they won at home, they were going to become 5-4. 5 wins, 4 losses. Again, reading hockey stats, wins and then losses and overtime losses. But if they were going to win, they were going to be 5-4 right here. And for the entire... they need to win the next 2 to get to 6-5 at home. So they won 1. So anyway, the 21s they hit there. And then the Devils... Let's see. Vancouver was on 21 points coming into the game, and they got upset by the Devils. So they stayed on 21 points, and the score was 2-1. So the 21 theme, it was flowing early, but then the last game of the day. So Vegas came in on 21 points, and Vegas lost and stayed on 21 points against Detroit. And again, it's just like last weekend. It was the 59-17 theme. This week, it was all these teams lining up through 21. So remember this when the weekend rolls around on hockey, that a lot of times the games are themed together. So Golden Knights stay on 21 points. The Flyers and the Bruins. The Flyers had a shot at their 22nd points. Boston's 22. Boston was a huge favorite in this game. Line negative 220. 22 in Boston plays big. So Philadelphia did win this game to get the 22nd points, but the trick here that made this tough was Boston's next points were 26. And Philadelphia equals 101, the 26 prime. Both of those numbers play with Philly. But you get the big upset. The Flyers, they won 3-2 in a shutout. Went to overtime 2-2. And then they pick up the 22nd points. And let's see. The Maple Leafs and the Blackhawks. Toronto came in with 22. And Chicago came in with 14. It's really, I think it is bad practice to look ahead with hockey and be like, okay, if this team wins, then it'll set them up perfectly to get these points, because so often you see how that lines up, but then it doesn't come through. Again, had the Maple Leafs won this game, they would have got their 24th points, and then it would have given them a chance to get the 26th against the Islanders, but they lost. The Blackhawks won this game 5-4. They almost gave up a huge lead. They were up 5-0 going into the third. Or no, excuse me, they were up. Never mind, they were up 4-1 going into the third period. Ended up winning at 5-4. Maple Leafs equals 54 for that score. That game didn't have the 21 theme. And then the last game of the day, Anaheim could have picked up the 21st points against Edmonton. And something that's been a good sign all year for hockey teams is if it's the day left in the year count, Sunday left 51 days left in the year. If a team has a connection in Gematria to the day left in the year count, that's been a really good sign. And Anaheim, they had after everyone did the 21-point ritual for the whole day, and Anaheim also had this to boot, they came up short. And they got beat good at home, actually. They got beat 6-2. But that was the only game where the 21 didn't hit. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 out of 5 games, the 21 riddle is what played. So just remember, there's always next week. But again, I'm seeing these consistent patterns through the teams on the weekend. And Football, just to review football before we get to tonight. On Thursday night football, by the Raiders winning. Remember, they became 5-4 for the season on the day, leaving 54 days left in the year. Prime time equals 54. It was the last game for Oakland in prime time in that stadium. So there was a little primetime ritual there. Plus, home teams became 5-5 on Thursday night football to start week 10. 55, the 10th triangular number and the 10th Fibonacci number. Again, if you add 1 through 10 together, it equals 55. The Fibonacci sequence, 55 is the 10th number in that sequence. So last night, on Sunday Night Football, it was the same scenario. Home teams were 5-4 on Sunday Night Football coming into the game. Minneapolis equals 55. Remember when the Patriots fell to 5-5 in Minneapolis in Super Bowl 52? But by the Cowboys losing at home, home teams became 5-5. And I should have covered that at the beginning of the week. We've been breaking this down and looking at this from the start of the week, and I forgot we should have done it on the initial decode. So we'll be sure to keep all these numbers in mind when we first look at football this week, because this stuff's important. These themes through the week have been pretty consistent, and it seems to be these riddles are trumping the other riddles. It's like the consistent count with Thursday night football and the teams that are playing, the consistent count with Sunday night football and the teams that are playing each week. So it's just like when you look at Monday Night Football tonight, it's tough again because you don't have the 55 riddle in Monday Night Football because there was a doubleheader on the first Monday night, so you have one extra game. But what I was thinking about is if the 49ers did lose tonight, even though it looks like a ton lines up for the 49ers to win, if they lost tonight and the Chargers lost next week on Monday Night Football at home, which they probably will because they're playing the Chiefs, home teams would become 6-6 next week on Monday Night Football, and 66 is the 11th triangular number. If you add 1 through 11 together, it equals 66. So I'm thinking that might be where things are going. In a moment, we'll look even further ahead. We'll look at Week 12 and see who plays on Monday Night Football and see if we can figure out where that might go too. But it does seem to be this is what they're doing with the primetime games. The rituals are synced up with each successive week. Also, if the 49ers did lose tonight, home teams would be 6-5 on Monday Night Football, and San Francisco 49ers equals 65. But if the 49ers do lose, they'll be 8-1 too for the season, and then they play the Cardinals next week, and Cardinals is 81. But we'll look at that here in a moment. Just to go back over the games. So remember how we were talking about 55 and the Chargers? I was like, man, the Chargers can become 5-5, but the Raiders had a 55 riddle too through the Thursday night thing. Plus Thursday night football equals 257, the 55th prime. But that seems to be what's going on. Is the riddles are more about the continuation of the primetime football each week. So, the Lions and Bears game, like we said, the most surface level riddles look good for the Bears. Should have took this game. Bears getting to 4-5. Bears 45. Stafford picking up his 45th away loss. I mean, that was the strongest riddle. The Lions falling to 3-5-1. Chicago 35. 351, the 26 triangular number. Bear 26. Just like we talked about, that's what it ended up being. It's just, I was worried about Trubisky because I was thinking, maybe he doesn't win and they get rid of him. But like we said, it's week 10. He's number 10. Maybe this is where they straighten things out. So the most surface level riddle, and it usually is the surface level stuff. The Bears took the cake. Bears got the W there. It's funny if you read my notes. I just stayed neutral on almost everything because I didn't trust the riddles this week. But had I trusted them, we would have been golden. Anyway, Ravens and Bengals. Ended up taking the Ravens in this one just because they look like the class of the NFL right now. They cruised over the Bengals. They improved to 4-1 away. Baltimore's 41, and they play at LA next. LA 41, just like how the Lakers fell to 4-1 at home yesterday. LA 41-13. Huge LA numbers, 41-13. The Bills and Browns, again, like we said, if the Browns won at home, they'd be 1-3 at home. They're a team that has a ton of 13 connections. They did win at home. Nail-biter of a game. Buffalo became 6-3. Browns became 3-6. Buffalo 63-36. And again, 1-3 at home. Browns 91, the 13th triangular. Cleveland Browns 169, square root of 13. First Energy Stadium 233, the 13th Fibonacci number. So, didn't trust the Browns, but should have trusted the numbers because, the notes still show that the Browns did look like the better riddle. And then Chiefs and Titans, like we said, Titans can become 5-5 in Week 10. And if you saw the end of this game, if Andy Reid's supposed to be one of the greatest coaches ever, what was that last play call that set up the whole Titans to do what they did at the end? What a joke. Anyway, Titans got to 5-5, 55 the 10th triangular number, and Mahomes stayed on 10 away wins in Week 10. And yeah, those really were the strongest riddles, was just the 55s and the 10s, and stayed neutral on that one. And like I wrote, more lines up for Titans, but I don't trust the Titans. See, should have just trusted the numbers. And then the Falcons and Saints, like we said, you can't even trust the Saints this week. Drew Brees has a lot going against him, and the thing is, it was hard to go against the Saints because they've been our team, and even when things have stacked against them this year, they've won anyway, and it was just like, can we really trust the Falcons at home? But this is just like deja vu of last year's home game with the Saints and the Bucs, where the Bucs beat the Saints in New Orleans. Again, the things that were stacked against Brees was he could get his 48th loss at home, and Atlanta's 48, that's a big number with Atlanta. And Brees also had a chance to pick up his 10th loss versus the Falcons and stay on 10 home wins versus the Falcons in Week 10. And that's exactly what happened. And this game was on out here, and I knew it in the first quarter that the Falcons were going to win this game just by the way the official was throwing the flag. Usually you can see what the feel of the game is by the way the officials officiate right from the beginning. Atlanta didn't get the first down. Oh, there comes the flag. And the announcer the whole game was saying, man, I've never seen this hands to the face call this many times in my life. Yeah, because they normally don't call those little dinky hands to the face calls, but they called it every single time the Falcons didn't get a first down. And anytime the Saints had a big gain, oh, here comes the flag to pull the play back. So Zebra was the MVP of that game, but you could tell the fix was definitely in for Atlanta. And it makes me mad because the Falcons would have been an awesome payout being this much of an underdog, and we did see the riddle. I imagine some of you guys took advantage of it because the riddle was there, but you don't get too many options where there's a clear riddle against that big of a favorite. So we had one like that earlier this year with the Rams and the Bucs as well. A lot lined up for Arians to beat the Rams on the road as they did. And then the Giants and the Jets. I hope my man Rod laid off the Giants because, like I said, it looked like more lined up for the Jets here, even though it was hard to trust the Jets. And Rod wanted to go hard with the 18-37 thing because he saw that in the Monday Night Football score. That was a good observation, but Jets does equal 27 as well. So you can't fade the 27. And, we know Giants in 25 plays hard. The Jets with a win were going to become 2-5 against the Giants. The Giants, if they lost, were going to fall to 8-6. MetLife Stadium 86, where both teams play. And then we saw how the 39s really stacked in the stadium, which was something we were paying attention to this week. If the Jets won, they were going to become 39-39 at MetLife Stadium. And the Jets did take it. And again, in that note, I say more lines up for the Jets, but I'm remaining neutral. And all these games where it lined up more for one team, they all came through. The Cardinals and Bucs, I didn't remain neutral in this game because I like the riddle. Bruce Arians facing his old team. Cardinals 36. Both teams can become 3-6. And then the other thing I caught after we did the live stream was I was like, oh, Winston plays the Saints next week, and his next home loss is number 19. Well, that's a good sign that the Saints beat him next week and give him his 19th home loss because Saints is 19. Plus, he stayed on 39 losses against Arizona. Arizona's also 39. So, Bucs got it done there. In the Dolphins and Colts game, we wondered if this might be a Super Bowl ritual right here. And I got to say, because this happened, I think this is a good sign that the AFC will win the Super Bowl this year. So, even if the Saints end up being there, I don't think they're going to take it. Drew Brees will be that magic number 41, but he doesn't get the same treatment that Tom Brady does. And Drew Brees, Tom Brady, both of these guys wouldn't be the legends that they are in the NFL if the whole thing wasn't fixed. But anyway, Dolphins became 2-7. Miami's 27. If the AFC wins this year, AFC and NFC will be tied at 27 Super Bowls apiece. Of course, it's Super Bowl 54. The Colts fell to 5-4 by getting upset. And remember, once upon a time, before the Baltimore Colts, the old franchise was the Miami Seahawks. So there's a link between these cities. And one person is certain this means the Colts will be in the Super Bowl. I think he thinks this means the Colts will win the Super Bowl this year. But I'll remind that person, it is possible. Again, Super Bowl 54 is on Jacoby Brissett's 54th day of his age. Backup's 54. Colts have lost 2 with Brissett out. But the NFL, it seems like every single season runs Super Bowl riddles through the Colts, and they're obviously not in the Super Bowl every single year. So, and that was something I learned when I was first decoding this, because the Colts would get these awesome riddles for the Super Bowl, and it would end up being the Patriots. So, I think the Colts somehow are used just for maybe symbolism of what the AFC is going to do. Anyway, still trying to figure out exactly why that is, but yeah, Dolphins took the Colts for the Super Bowl symbolism like we talked about. So the hard thing to go against was Fitzpatrick. He had a chance to fall to 1-5 at the Colts on the 15 date numerology, where Colts equals 15 in the most pure cipher, but it does also equal 24, so the 2-4 was possible. But the date numerology was 15. Color?
So, Zach, how's it going, man?
What's up?
Yeah, I do like the Colts, yeah, but I'm not saying that they're going to win the Super Bowl. They're one of my teams, like I said, that I'm watching. But since you bring up that huge connection, it makes me wondering about maybe a Seattle-Baltimore possibility for a Super Bowl. Earl Thomas is now with the Ravens. Came from Seattle. Seattle made a big trade with Houston for Clowney. And I think you had said this year Seattle might have a special year, or Russell Wilson might have a special year. But just thinking about what you just said with the connections,
Sure, Miami Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. I have to go back and look at the score of the Seahawks and Ravens game in Seattle from 2 weeks ago. On the day of that game, the 43rd mayor of Baltimore died. Seahawks is 43 like football. So maybe go back and revisit that just in case there is something there.
Possibility. And then I was looking for a total score. Do you see anything with the number 28 in this game? Besides NFC possibly winning the 28 title?
I'm putting up the score right now. 16-12. Huh. 16-12. I gotta think about that score. That is a funny score.
It's very odd.
Yeah, that's a weird score. I'm gonna have to think about that one. I'm not sure.
Okay, cool. All right, brother. Thanks.
All right. Yeah, see you, man. 16-12. Okay. The Panthers and Packers, on my day of cowardice, I did like the Panthers a lot. They had a great riddle, but, the Packers at home, they're still hard to go against, especially the way they're playing this year, and they're definitely a team that has Super Bowl narratives, too. This year is so tough. But, a lot of teams fell to 5-4 yesterday. Let's count how many teams became 5-4 yesterday. Well, let's just say for the week. The Raiders got to 5-4. Let's see. I guess not as many as I thought. Colts got to 5-4. Panthers, Rams, and Steelers both did it. Remember, we talked about the death of Darryl Drake, the receivers coach whose name equaled 54. And they're the team that was in the Super Bowl last year, the Rams and the Cowboys. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 teams. 5-4. 6 in week 10. I gotta think more about these things. The teams that are 5-4. Yeah, because I know there's riddles here. You just gotta recognize them and interpret them. Anyway, Packers. Yeah, it must have been about the 54 thing, because really a whole lot more lined up for the Panthers in this game. The biggest concern for the Panthers was that they could become 6-9 versus the Packers, because Green Bay Packers is 69 in the most pure cipher. That was there, but again, it was 307 days after Rivera's birthday, the 63rd prime. His team could become 6-3. Allen had a good riddle to win at Lambeau Field. Rivera had a good riddle to get that 77th career win in Green Bay. He did also have a chance at the 60th loss on the 60-date numerology, which did happen. And for Rodgers, there wasn't really a whole lot. He had a chance at his 60th loss in the regular season as well. But again, the overlap number was 73 as well. Carolina and Packers are both 73. Had the Packers lost, they would have been 7-3. And I guess we did point out that the Packers could become 5-1 at home with the win, and that does connect to Lambeau Field. But Panthers also had a chance to become 4-1 away. So that's why I said to take the points. And I didn't see the highlight for this game, but I do know that the game finished down on the goal line. I want to know how the Panthers didn't score at the end, because I think they had like 1st and goal with 10 seconds left, and because I had it going on the Gamecast in my phone, and then on the update it just said play under review, and then it said game over, and I was like, well, what the hell happened? So I imagine maybe there was like a run or a QB sneak, and he didn't quite make it in, so then the time ran out. I don't know, but if that was the case, I mean, talk about shit calling. I mean, if you got 10 seconds and it's 1st and goal at the 1 yard line or the 2 yard line, I mean, throw the ball. That is where you want to throw the ball, because then if you don't hit it, you get another play. You could probably run at least 3 plays with 10 seconds. Do it quick enough. Anyway, I was hoping they were going to cover there, but that was a disappointment. And then Rams and Steelers, again, it was tricky here because we did see that both teams could hit the 5-4 thing in the year of Super Bowl 54. Probably should have rode with that. We saw that Rudolph could become 4-1, I believe, at home. Yeah, Rudolph had a chance to become 4-1 at home. LA's 41 again. There's LA in 41 again. And we talked about the death of Darryl Drake, whose name equaled 54. So the problem was, though, Goff had a chance at his 30th win. McVay had a chance at his 30th win. Steelers is 1-1-3, the 30th prime, so that's what made it a little bit dangerous. And the Rams also had a chance to get to 4-1 away, being the LA team. So, but it was the 54 symbolism ultimately that did it, which makes sense because, again, that's the Super Bowl number. The Rams were in the Super Bowl last year. The Steelers are the winningest team in Super Bowl history. Well, now tied with the Patriots. Caller?
Zach, I know a lot of people in Seattle tonight, but I'm on the 49ers. And the reason why is because the 49ers are going for their 50th all-time victory on Monday Night Football tonight.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to look at that. And today leaves 50 days left in the year, so San Francisco's 50.
Yeah. So I like that. What are the odds on that happening? You know?
That is a really strong riddle. That's a hard one to go against.
Yeah, and Pittsburgh just did the same over Miami.
Yeah, Pittsburgh equals 50 like San Francisco. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So I just wanted to point that out. I don't remember if you had that in your notes.
Okay, yeah, I still got to plug in the all-time Monday Night Football records here. I'm going to do that next. So.
Okay, brother.
All right, appreciate it. See you. Okay, and then the Vikings and Cowboys. Again, it looked like almost everything lined up for the Cowboys in this game, but that Sunday Night Football record, the fact that home teams could fall to 5-5 in Week 10 when it already happened on Thursday Night Football, and the Titans improved to 5-5. They were the only team on Sunday that had a chance to do that, which is interesting. But again, the Vikings were 11-12 versus the Cowboys, so they had a chance to become 12-12 on SNF. Remember last year they gave the numerology lesson on 12 on Sunday Night Football when it was Tom Brady versus Aaron Rodgers, Battle of the 12 jerseys. But the Vikings also had a chance at that 13th loss in Dallas. So 12 is a big number on Sunday Night Football. Recall earlier this year when the Cowboys played on Sunday Night Football, they put up that stat about how the Saints were, I forget if they were 11-0 or 11-1 with the ref that they had that night. But as soon as they put up that stat, I updated the Patreon page. I said they just threw this stat. Remember, SNF is 12 because it was a close game at that point. And the Saints went on to win and got the 12th win with that ref. So SNF 12, number always to consider. The Vikings became 7-4 at the Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys equals 74. And by the Cowboys losing yesterday, home teams became 7-4 for the entire day of Sunday. Home teams fell to 7-4. And let's see. Cousins, he had a chance to even up his all-time record at 41-41. Dallas is 41. In the regular season, the 41 could have gone either way. Cousins had a chance to fall to 1-3 at the Cowboys. Dallas is 13, but it does have an S, so it's also 22. So he became 2-2 at the Cowboys. And the Vikings play the Denver Broncos next week, 64-73, so that was tough. And the Vikings do play at the Seahawks next for their next away game. Had they lost, they would have been 2-4 away. Seahawks equals 24 in the most pure cipher. If you use the rule with just the master numerology case, Seahawks also 33. I hate Seahawks Gematria because they have their Seahawks literally equals 24, 33, 42, and 51. There's no other name that's more complicated, but that's why it's hard to tell with the Seahawks. And Prescott, he did have a chance at that 38th win in the regular season. Minnesota's 38. Instead, he stayed on 38 all-time wins. And let's see. Garrett was 82-62 coming into the game. He had a chance at his 83rd win. Had he picked that up, home teams would have been 8-3 for the day. Cowboy, the singular's 83. Cowboys also had a chance to get to 4-1 at home. Dallas and 41, another big number in that city. So, I mean, I think that they maybe it was last year where they changed this up, and I don't think we caught on to it last year, but we've caught on to it this year. It seems that a lot of times in primetime, the team that has more stacking up for them is losing. But now we realize that what they're doing is, again, they're doing the successive weeks. Again, like how home teams became 5-5 in Week 10 on Thursday Night Football and on Sunday Night Football. So that ultimately was the only riddle that mattered. And Minneapolis does equal 55, so that was that. And now let's look at the Seahawks and 49ers. And 49ers are a 6-point favorite at home. The over-under is at 46. Remember, that's what Levi's Stadium equals. Levi's Stadium is 46. Let's see here. So today does leave 50 days left in the year. San Francisco is 50. I was thinking that earlier this year the 49ers got the 50th win on Monday Night Football. But here, let's do this real quick. One second, I got to pull up this tool. All right, here we go. So, what's the first year on Monday Night Football? 1970? Or I think it's 1970 because I'm pretty sure this is the 50th season. First year of Monday Night Football. Whoops. Yeah, 1970. Okay. So 1970 to the present. And for people going, well, how can that be 50 years? That's the mathematical mistake that everybody makes in their head. From 1970 to 2019 is 49 years later, but don't forget to count 1970 because you have to think about it this way. 1970, first season, right? 1971 would be the second season, but if you just counted from 1970 to 71, that's 1 year later. So that's why it is 49 years later, but it's the 50th season. Okay, so San Francisco 49ers. All right, we'll look at both teams' individual Monday Night Football record, and then we'll look at it head-to-head as well. So 10 losses. Wait a minute. Some of these games... No. Something's wrong. Wait a minute. What did I do? I know what I did. I forgot to choose the day of the week. Here we go. All right, let's try that again. Okie dokie. All right, so they have 27 losses on Monday Night Football. Seattle does equal 28. And yeah, they have 49 wins. So actually they are going for their 50th win. I know what it was. The 49ers set the record with 49 wins, and then the Steelers have played 2 Monday Night Football games since, so they ended up picking up the 50th. Caller?
Yeah, the 49ers won their 49th game on Monday night versus the Browns. They blew them out.
Yeah, so they're 49-27 on Monday Night Football right now.
Yep, okay, brother.
All right, see you, man. Okay, so, whoops. All right, let's put this in here. '49ers are 49-27 on Monday Night Football. San Francisco equals 50. Today leaves 50 days in the year. And that is really hard to go against. Let me do this, actually. The one thing that could go against them is Seattle does equal 28. So they could pick up the 28th loss and not pick up that 49th win. But, man, San Francisco and 50, those numbers do play hard. And that's the only 50 that could play for the Seahawks is becoming 5-0 away. 49ers won their next 2 home games. They would be 5-0 at home. They're 3-0 right now. And let's see here. All right, let me plug in some more information. We can look at they're not that old of a team, but you can also get their all-time Monday, the day of the week stats, because there was Monday games even before Monday Night Football. I think Monday Night Football started once they figured out how to start lighting the stadiums. Well, I guess in the 49ers case, they never played any games on Monday before that year. All right. Their first ever Monday Night Football game, let's see, 1971. Okay, so let's do it for the Seahawks now. The Seahawks have only existed since the era of Monday Night Football. They're not as old of a team. 1979 was their first Monday night game. All right, let's see. The Seahawks have 10 losses on Monday Night Football, Week 10, and they have 25 wins. They are 25-10. And then we'll see here. Let me write that down. 49ers are 25-10 on Sunday Night Football. Whoops, I wrote 49ers. Seahawks. All right, 25-10. Okay, so it is week 10. So that's the one thing that could go in the Seahawks' favor, staying on 10 losses. And let's see. With this thing, you can plug in 2 teams, and then it'll show you their. So the Seahawks versus the 49ers on Monday. So they played 3 times on Monday Night Football, and they are 1-2. They only played one of those games at San Francisco, and they lost it 6-19, 1985, 34 years ago. All right. Seahawks are 1-2. Whoops, why did I write SNF? Seahawks are 1-2 versus 49ers on Monday Night Football. And 0-1 at San Francisco. Okay. So now we have all the Monday Night Football information. And hold on, we got a call here. Caller? Caller? Caller, I can't hear you. You're going to have to call back. All right. Caller?
Yeah, sorry about that. How you doing today?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Good. I got some notes for the Monday Night Football game.
Okay.
Look at the 49ers all-time primetime record. They're 76-48. San Francisco equals 76. Home team can stay on the 76 wins this season, but Seahawks does equal to 48. Wilson, he can pick up a 12th win versus 49ers. MNF equals 12. Wilson is 7-2 on Monday Night Football. Seattle equals 82. Jimmy Garoppolo is 16-2. Right up 49ers. He equals 163. He's 7-0 at home. Levi Stadium is 80.
You said Wilson. You said Wilson 7-2 on Monday Night Football.
Yep.
Okay.
And then I seen their all-time primetime record. I'm like, wow, this is so perfect. Home team staying on that 76, and they can stay on 76 all-time primetime.
Well, it's tough because what else is so perfect is the 49ers getting their 50th win on Monday Night Football and the day leaving 50 days left in the year in the 50th year of Monday Night Football.
Right.
So, yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to share that note just so you would have it.
What was the thing you said about 12?
About 12. Oh, yeah, Wilson, he's 11-3 versus the 49ers. Monday Night Football equals 12. And then he's 7-2 on Monday Night Football. Seattle equals 82.
Yes, that's the thing. Big one for Seattle is that they could get to 8-2, and I do see that you're right that Wilson could become 8-2 on MNF. That's interesting. So, yeah,
Right.
yeah. Yeah, good observations, man.
All right, thank you, buddy.
All right, appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah, here's Russell Wilson's Monday Night Football stats: 7-2. So if he won, he would be 8-2, and his team would be 8-2, and Seattle's 82, just using the alphabetic order. The word soldier is also 82 in light of it being Veterans Day. Soldiers 82 with the alphabetic order. So that's one other thing to think about with the 82 on this Veterans Day. Hold on, let me check Jimmy G on Monday. He shouldn't have as much history. He's 1-1 on Monday Night Football. That's the wrong thing. If Jimmy G won tonight, he would become 8-0 at home, and Seattle's 19, the 8th prime. So that's one other thing in his corner today. Caller?
So an article, they quoted fairly significant. Josh Gordon is coming back, and he's making his debut tonight for the Seahawks, but fairly significant was quoted in the article. He's going to have a fairly significant role in today's game.
Fairly significant, huh? Okay.
Yep.
All right. Appreciate it. I'll look that up. All right. Thanks, man. What's up, Rob?
What's going on, Zach? Everything good?
It could have been a lot better, but it's okay.
Okay, yeah, I'm still holding up. I didn't do it when you text me that. I didn't even lay off. I should have just rolled with the Jets, but I didn't do that. And I'm kind of late to the live stream. I just got in, so I was gonna say, did you see that the home team record, like if the 49ers would be the 9th team to win this week? Did you go over that?
The 49ers, home teams right now are 8-4 for the week. So if the 49ers won, they would be 9-4, the reflection of 49. Is that what you were thinking?
Right. Yeah, that's what I think. I was like, that's real strange to me, you know?
Yeah, so that is true. And if the 49ers do win today, they're going to get their 50th win on Monday Night Football on the day leaving 50 days left in the year of the 50th season of Monday Night Football, where San Francisco equals 50. So, I mean, that looks really strong. It's just, if they don't get it, I'm going to scratch my head. But there is a riddle on the other side for Seattle. If Seattle wins, Russell Wilson will be 8-2 on Monday Night Football, and Seattle's 82, and his team will be 8-2 for the season. The one concern for me about the 49ers is if they did lose, they'd go into the Cardinals 8-1, and Cardinals is 81. So, The 50 is really hard to go against. I mean, the game is on the day leaving 50 days left in the year. But
right. And I think that that Seattle owns San Francisco, but San Francisco whole dynamic doesn't change. But I see Seattle got that they can go 5-0 away. So it's both riddles tight for both games. Like you said, I don't see how they do it, but they damn sure did it this game. But yeah, with that 49ers though, with the 9th team, how Riddle's been hitting, and now the only team with letters, with numbers in their name, they could become 9-4. That's just, I found that real mind blowing. But yeah, it's basically it's one of those games where if you play it, you come off better playing Seattle because the Riddle's so tight. You know what I mean? And Seattle like plus 250.
Right, they're the money value.
I ain't doing. Yeah, I ain't doing that. I was just really calling to let you know about that. I'm pretty sure you knew about it, but that 9th team and 4 losses, that's what I was calling you about. And if I was going to say, when you get done, if you can do a thorough review so I don't have to go back over the whole thing.
I haven't even done any of the other sports games today. We started off with the Monday night game, so you got here just in time. We're about to do the other games.
Okay. If you don't mind, Zach, I know this kind of off. I hate doing stuff like this, but I just wanted to I know you could do it real quick. I'm going to be in Vegas next Monday night, but I was looking at the Chiefs and the Chargers, but I just wanted to make sure.
Here. I'll tell you something right now. If the 49ers lose tonight, rest assured the Chargers are losing next week, because I actually talked about that earlier. So this week on Thursday Night Football and on Sunday Night Football, home teams became 5-5. And again, 55 is the 10th triangular number. It was week 10. If the 49ers lose tonight and the Chargers lose next week, home teams will be 6-6 on Monday Night Football, and 66 is the 11th triangular number. So, and that's the other thing too. If the 49ers lost tonight, San Francisco 49ers equals 65. Home teams would be 6-5 on Monday Night Football if the Niners lost tonight. So, in a way, I kind of want to see the Niners lose, because then it sets up a really clear riddle for next week's Monday Night Football game. And if you're in Vegas, well, that's one that
definitely, man. I was smiling when the Titans beat the Chiefs yesterday. I was like, boy, Andy Reid don't lose 2 in a row. So I was just like, I'm loading up next week. But then when I got home, Zach, let me tell you, that's why I wanted to see if you can look it up. Chiefs versus Chargers. They playing the 118th game, 118th all-time games, but I got 61-55. Chiefs 61-55. I want to know if that's correct, because that's the 18th. So they can stay on 61 wins all time on the 18th and get the 56 loss. And the Chargers will be 5-6, just like the 56 loss. So I didn't know if I was looking at it right.
I'll double check that. I'll get that information to you. Or I can even do it in this live stream. But, yeah, if the 49ers lose tonight, I know that 6-6 thing's hitting for week 11 because those are big numbers with the NFL. NFL equals 66 in the Jewish cipher, and that's why the first Super Bowl.
I got you on that, Zach. Well, I'm with you on this. It's week 11, and that's the fifth prime. So Kansas City can get their fifth loss, and San Diego can get their fifth win. So I got you on that, you know what I mean? But, it was week 11. You just got done talking about study the weeks. Week 11 got their relationship with the 5.
And 66.
So that's why, man, I was at work happy, and then when I got home Decode, I was like, God damn, I'm not going to put a dog on the game, So it's like, I don't know.
I like 66 and 11 in the NFL because, again, the first Super Bowl season was 66, and there's 11 men on the field, so...
I got you on that. I got you. I'll let you get back to it, man.
All right. Appreciate it. All right. See you, man. And here, just real quick, the let's see, Chiefs and Chargers head-to-head. Let's take a second to look up because actually this could even help us with since all these riddles are connected week after week. Let's see. So it will be the 118th game. Los Angeles, California is 118. The city's on the 118th meridian. That game is in LA. Well, actually, they play in Carson, a suburb. And the Chiefs do lead 61 to 55 to 1. And I think I have this all written in the cheat sheet, but let's see. They got 32 losses. Well, I guess that is something to consider. They could get their 33rd loss on Monday Night Football. They got 32 losses at the Chargers. 1 tie. 59. 26 wins. So they're 26, 32, and 1. 33 in Monday Night Football. Well, something's got to give. Man, okay. All right, well, we'll know something big. If the 49ers do lose tonight, that 66-11 rule is still tough to go against. So, all right, let's just take it from the top one more time with Monday Night Football. So Seattle's riddle to win is to become 8-2 because Seattle's 82, and Russell Wilson would improve to 8-2 on Monday Night Football. Hold on, we got a call. Caller?
Hi, Zachary.
Hello?
Hi, the Chiefs are playing in Mexico City on Monday night, the 18th.
Oh, okay, so the game's not actually in LA.
Correct.
Okay, gonna have to look at the international series then. All right, I appreciate that.
Okay.
All right,
Bye-bye.
thank you. All right, take care. Mexico equals 33, though. Caller?
They're playing in Mexico City, Aztec Field next week.
Okay, yeah, so the last caller's called in to say Mexico equals 33, so that's interesting. All right.
Okay.
All right, appreciate it. Okay, so, Mexico, MNF 33. Okay. Not making things easy for us. Okay, so again, Seattle's narrative to win is pretty much to become 8-2 because Seattle's 82 and Russell Wilson to get to 8-2 on Monday Night Football. And they would also become 5-0 away in San Francisco, the 50 city. San Francisco's 50. Today leaves 50 days left in the year. That's pretty much Seattle's riddle. So let's just go through everything else. If the Seahawks lose, they will be 10-10 at the 49ers in Week 10. And the 10's played hard this week. I don't know if a 10 riddle failed. I don't think it did. If Wilson lost, he would get his 39th loss in the regular season, and he would stay on 82 wins in the regular season. 49ers equals 39. The Seahawks play at Philadelphia next week. If I forgot to write the word away here. That's what it's supposed to say, away. Anyway. If Wilson lost this week and next week in Philadelphia, he could get his 26th loss in Philadelphia. Philadelphia 101 to 26 prime. If Wilson loses this game tonight, he'll be 4-4 at San Francisco. Seattle's 44. If he wins, he'll be 5-3. And of course, 53 is the football-related number. Caller?
Hey, Zach, the game next week against the Chiefs and the Chargers, they play in Mexico City.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. Mexico equals 33 like MNF, so that's something to think about. But yeah, thank you. All right.
Thanks.
All right, see you, man. Some people are on more of a delay than others. That's so you can tell how far his delay is. But anyway, if Wilson loses 4-4, that's a Seattle number. And at the same time, though, the 82 could play 2 times for Seattle tonight. Vesica Pisces equals 82 and 53. I'll just note that that's the shape of the football, the name of it in sacred geometry. Something that was in the back of my head yesterday with the Rodgers game because he had that contract that was the Vesica Pisces numbers when he got paid last year. So anyway, if Wilson won, he'd be 5-3 at the 49ers and 8-2 on Monday Night Football. Again, shape of the football. If Carroll got the win tonight, he'd get his 106th win with the Seahawks. If you write out Week 10, it equals 106. I'm not crazy about that, but it is there. And again, Soldier equals 82 besides Seattle since it is Veterans Day. Veterans Day also equals 44, like how Seattle can fall to 4-4. I guess I'll not note that down here too. If they fell to 4-4 as San Francisco. Seattle has a big military base outside of the city. I don't know San Francisco as well. I imagine it does. Most major cities do. Caller?
Hey, hello, Zach. I find it interesting that when you write out the word 49ers, it equals 163, and Garoppolo could become 16-3 in his career.
With a loss.
Yeah, with a loss. When you write out 49ers as a word.
I see. That is interesting. Okay.
Yep.
All right. All right. Appreciate that, man. Thanks.
All right. You're welcome.
Here, let's just do it. I think he's saying if you spell it out. 49ers. Yeah. With the alphabetic order, it's 163. Okay. That's interesting. Okay. So, Jimmy G, well, I guess I'll write this down. 49ers. I'll have to observe that. Okay. Jimmy G, he can fall to 16-3 as we just learned. If he wins, though, he's 8-0 at home, and Seattle does equal 19, the 8th prime. That would also be his 8th straight win at home. Now, the streaks of 8 aren't perfect anymore. Last week, we had 3 streaks of 8 on the board, and only 1 came through. Up until Week 9, streaks of 8 had been perfect. So you could say that is a possible streak of 8, though, for Jimmy G, getting that 8th straight home win. So overall for the year, they've still been great, but last week, the magic wore off. So I'll still note it here. Jimmy G's never started versus the Seahawks before. He's 1-1 on Monday Night Football. And again, if the 49ers do lose, they are 8-1, and they play the Cardinals next week. Cardinals is 81. The ref on the field is number 55, Alex Kemp. Again, 55, the 10th triangular number. 49ers equals 55 if you spell it with the numbers, 49 ERS. Alex Kemp in Gematria, though, is interesting because his name sums to 87 and 129 like Seahawks and 39 like 49ers. And the 39 was a number that could go against Wilson. Again, he could get his 39th loss in the regular season. I realized that he could also get his 44th all-time loss since it's Veterans Day. Guess he could get his 39th all-time away win, too. Okay, so for the entire season right now, first of all, with the stadium, the 49ers are 19-24 in their stadium, which sucks because Seattle equals 19 and Seahawks equals 24, so it's like, how do you choose between those two? And then the Seahawks are 4-1 in this stadium. If they lose tonight, they would be 4-2. 49ers does equal 42. Washington's the 42nd state. The Seahawks were used in the ritual to make Tom Brady 4-2 in Super Bowls. I think that game... No, never mind. That game was on February 1st. So for the entire season, home teams are 76, 70, and 1. If the 49ers got the W, it would be the 77th win of the season for home teams. If you write out 77 as a word, it equals 49. On Monday Night Football, home teams are 6-4. The 49ers could get the 7th home win of the season for Monday Night Football. 49 has a square root of 7. But if the 49ers lost, home teams would be 6-5, and San Francisco 49ers equals 65. So does California, where the game is. Hold on, we got a call. Caller?
Hey, Zach, I just thought I'd let you know today was the day that Washington became the 42nd state in history.
Today's Washington's birthday, huh? 11/11. Huh.
Yep. So in 1889, it became the 42nd state, so I just thought that was interesting. You were saying the thing about 4-2.
So 130 years ago, and Washington equals 130.
Okay.
Huh. That's weird.
Yep.
1889? That's 130 years ago. Huh.
Say that again?
You said 1889, right?
Yes, 1889.
Yeah, that's 130 years ago today. Huh. That's weird. All right. That's weird. All right. Appreciate that, man. Hold on. I just got to look at it. States in order of statehood. I know that Oregon's birthday is Valentine's Day. Let me see. Yeah, Washington, November 11th, 1889. Kind of research is Victor doing? How'd he catch that? Nice work. Huh, that's interesting. That is interesting. Okay. So again, I mean, it's just this kind of week, man. You know what? This is probably the tightest riddle of the week. But again, if you look at all of this stuff, I mean, we know how hard 50 plays in San Francisco. Unfortunately, the Seahawks can become 5-0 there, but it being Monday Night Football, it being the day leaving 50 days left in the year, it being the 50th season of Monday Night Football, San Francisco equaling 50, and the fact that they can get their 50th win on Monday Night Football tonight, especially with the team they have this year, I mean, that is really hard to go against. And yeah, I mean, so is the Russell Wilson 8-2 thing, but I mean, the game's in San Francisco. How many days is it to the Super Bowl? Is today 83 days to the Super Bowl? And also, if home teams win, they'll be 9-4 for the week. The reflection of 49. If the 49ers win, color.
Hey, Zach, if you look at the all-times, if Wilson wins today, I know you're looking at the 82, but look at the 83. He'll be 8-3. And then if Garoppolo loses, he'll get his 38th loss. Wilson can get his 83rd win. Garoppolo can get his 38th loss, 11-11.
Wait, Garoppolo shouldn't be able to get 38 losses. He hasn't played enough games.
Well, that's what I had seen. Maybe I was looking at it wrong.
Because he's only 16-2 as a starter.
Wilson can get that 83rd win today.
Garoppolo's 16-2 as a starter right now.
Oh, okay. Well, I know Wilson can get the 83rd win, though.
You're right. He can. He could get his 83rd win in the regular season.
I was looking at getting the 83rd win. 8 plus 3 go 11. He gets his 83rd win on a day with 11 of them around.
Today's 83 days to the Super Bowl, too.
Exactly.
So.
All right, that's all I had.
All right. Yeah, I hear it. All right, appreciate it, man. Well, yeah, Wilson has a nice little riddle. So something's got to give, though. It's only going to be one. If the 49ers win today, they could be the team in the NFC for the Super Bowl because it is the 50th Super Bowl of the modern era with this huge 50 ritual on the day leaving 50 days left in the year. If they don't get it, I think that might be foreshadowing that they're not the Super Bowl team. Hold on. Caller?
Yeah, I ain't messing with this game, Zach, but I don't know if you look. Did you look at Richard Sherman? Because, you know, he played for Seattle and then he played with San Francisco.
I got to do that. That could be the breaker right there. That's a good one.
That might be the ball breaker, but I'll let you get back to it.
All right, appreciate it. Yeah, good tip. See you. All right. Again, though, man, 50th season of Monday Night Football. Today leaves 50 days left in the year. San Francisco, 50. I mean, I gotta look up Richard Sherman, and I gotta look up who the 49ers play next at home. Because if they do win tonight, they have a chance to become 5-0 at home. And I'm pretty sure they play the Cardinals. So that should be a win. And then they would become 10-0 on the season if they won them both. And 49ers equals 55, the 10th triangular. All right, hold on. Let me get Richard Sherman here. Richard Sherman, March 30th. How old's Richard Sherman right now? 31. God, he's only 31? I thought he was closer to my age. Caller?
Yeah, Zach, my fault. I had said it wrong. So Garoppolo is 16-2. If he loses tonight, he'll be 16-3, like 163. 163 is the 38 prime number. That's why I got the 11-11.
Yeah, you're right about that. I hear that.
That's what I had called for the 11-11.
Okay, I got you. Appreciate it, man. All right, thanks. All right, it's 309 days after Richard Sherman's birthday. 49ers is 39. It's 10 months and 3 days. Saw a lot of that 103 at the beginning of the year. That's the 27th prime. And it's 44 weeks and 1 day. Seattle's 44. That means it's 56 days to his upcoming birthday. Wait, what am I doing? I got the wrong date plugged in here. Hold on. Let me measure to the right date. Okay, it's 226 days after his birthday, or his 227th day of his age, which is the 49th prime. 227 is the 49th prime number. Sherman's on the 49ers now. It's also 32 weeks and 2 days, which is interesting. Today is Richard Sherman's 227th day of his age. 227, 49th prime, 49ers. If 49ers win, home teams will be 9-4 for the week. Yeah, so they do play the Cardinals next week. So they win this game, they're definitely going to become 5-0 at home. And then they got the Packers the next week. Falcons. Let me see some about Falcons. Does Falcons equal 70? I think Falcons equal 70. Yeah, it does. So if the 49ers keep winning their home games, they'd become 7-0 at home against the Falcons. I don't think Packers have a connection to 60. But, yeah, they don't. But just looking down their home schedule, I need to look at the tight end too because he's out for the 49ers tonight. He could be a clue. But if they win tonight, they're 4-0 at home, 5-0 versus the Cardinals, 6-0 versus the Packers, 7-0 versus the Falcons, 70. And then Rams. Let me see about Rams. Whoops. Yeah, they don't have... Wait, LA Rams? No, they don't have a connection to that. But yeah, I do see that riddle. 49ers get past this game, they probably are going to start 7-0 at home. Aaron Rodgers from the Bay Area. I'll just throw this note down here so people don't forget it. Let me double check the stadium and the location. Levi's Stadium. Levi's Stadium is 80. So there's your 80 connection if they went perfect at home. And let me see something real quick. What's their record right now at home? They're 19-24 at home. So they have 5 home games remaining. If they won them all, they'd even up their home record at 24-24. Huh. Let's check out Josh Gordon, too, since he's making his debut. Josh Gordon, April 13th. It's 212 days after his birthday, or his 213th day of his age. I don't know what to think about that. It's the New York area code. Also the LA area code, 212-213, but I don't see how that relates to either of these teams. Again, it is tight tonight, but again, you just got to say, what are the odds that the 49ers can get their 50th win on Monday Night Football on the day leaving 50 days left in the year in the 50th season of Monday Night Football when San Francisco equals 50? So, if you like the Seahawks better, though, I don't want to take you off your pick. I mean, use your own mind, especially with me this week. It's not like I'm having a great week, but I mean, it is just really hard to ignore the way all that 50 lines up. And usually the day count of the year is a big clue, so. Remember, Kyle Allen for the Panthers, he failed to become 5-0 away in San Francisco. Caller?
If the Niners win today, and if they get by Arizona because of that 81 connection, this is before I knew all this, I like them actually to pick up their first loss against Baltimore, and I explain why. Because they've been paralleling the Patriots, and the Patriots' first loss was against Baltimore.
That makes sense. Plus, the Ravens gave the 49ers their first ever loss in the Super Bowl and the Harbaugh Bowl. So
yeah, so I think they play Week 15 if I'm not mistaken. It's in Baltimore though, so maybe that would help out.
Yeah, that game's on December 1st.
Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to share that real fast.
All right, yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, that could be true. Again, the 49ers were 5-0 in Super Bowls until the Harbaugh Bowl. 49ers couldn't run it in at the goal line at the end. Frank Gore averaged 10 yards a carry the whole second half, but then, first and goal, yard or two out. They just couldn't get it in there. It was a lot like the Seahawks-Patriots Super Bowl ending. I think Kaepernick did the same play, kept rolling out and throwing it through the back of the end zone. Yeah. I was just thinking about their upcoming games. If they lost to the Ravens as their first loss, they'd be 11-1 on the season going into the Saints game. Play the Falcons. Okay. All right, let's move on. We covered this very thoroughly. I mean, I'm going to leave it up to you to make your pick. I mean, to me, it's just like, if I'm going to make a pick here and I got to choose between all this, the 50 thing is just, it seems to be the most loaded, but it's definitely not a lock. Seahawks have some stuff there. Caller?
Hey, Zach. I'm probably going to stay away from this game, but Pete Carroll can get his 130th victory on Washington's 130th birthday.
Is that right? I missed that. Hold on, let me get him up here.
I mean, it's a joke, and it's really scary, this game, so I'm probably going to...
Yeah, you're right, man. That is crazy. Yeah, he can get his up. He'd also get his 140th all-time win, and Washington equals 140 as well. But today, Washington turns 130 years old. That's crazy.
That's what I'm saying. It definitely is too scary. I'm gonna just watch and try to get some future information on the upcoming game. It's too close.
Yeah, well, good catch on that too. He'd stay on 87 regular season losses, and Seahawks is 87. So, yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, if it was a little bit more money line, I probably would have played with it a little bit, Zach. But yeah, I'm gonna watch. Unless you find a golden nugget kind of thing pointing one specific way, I'm probably just gonna play the sideline with this one.
You saying golden nugget just reminds me that gold equals 38. If Jimmy G did lose, he would be 16-3, like 163, the 38th prime, gold 38, like how they hosted that Super Bowl on the 38th day of the year. But even still, man, I mean,
that's one of the things I appreciate about you, Zach. How you could just go off like that, like your knowledge.
How did you? Were you researching the state birthdays for both states? I know California's birthday is September 9th, but like, what even made you look up Washington's birthday?
I have a process I go through every day, so that's just part of it.
All right, yeah, good catch, man.
Especially with primetime stuff, I like to have information to give to you. Maybe you might have it already, but I kind of, once you start going, I just focus on the stuff that you haven't gotten already.
Okay, yeah. All right, man. Appreciate it. Good work, Victor.
All
right, see you. So like Rod said earlier today, I mean, if you're going to play the game, there's a lot better value in Seattle because you can get a way bigger payout. So I hear that. There's plenty of riddles for Seattle to win today, but it's just like, again, I keep coming back to what are the odds of it being the day left, 50 days left in the year, and the 49ers are going for their 50. I'm not going to keep repeating myself, but so hold on. What am I writing here? I'm trying to talk and write something at the same time. Seattle's... Oh, whoops. I see what I did. I'm on the wrong line. Here. All right, there we go. Caller?
Yes, just to add on to what the last caller said real fast about the 130, Monday night equals 130.
Monday night alone? Okay, I never done that before, but that is interesting.
All
right, yeah. Interesting. All right, thanks, man. Monday night, huh? That's new territory. We normally look at Monday Night Football, but Monday night's also 50. Okay. I'm just going to shut it down. Okay. Yeah. All right, let's move on to other things that are less complicated. All right, so in hockey, there's only 2 games. You know what I'm going to say about that. We'll look at it anyway, but basketball tonight. Timberwolves and Pistons. This is not my favorite game tonight. The Pistons have won the last 8 meetings versus the Timberwolves. They've had their number. They've also won the last 4 at home. The Pistons are 17-12 at home versus the Timberwolves. They lead 31-28 overall. If the Timberwolves did lose again tonight, they would fall to 5-5. Timberwolves equals 55 in the most pure cipher. And I always do prefer the most pure cipher, but it's not always the most pure one. I'd say 7 times out of 10 it is the most pure cipher that hits. But you can't fade, again, anytime, again, for people who are new here, because I realize there's new people that sign up every week. Okay. In the reduction cipher, S is the 19th letter. In numerology, 19 is 1 plus 9 is 10, and 10 is 1 plus 0 is 1. S is the only letter you have to reduce 2 times to get to a single digit. So S can actually also be worth 10. So if a word has an S in it, like Sam, it can be 6 or plus 9 more, 15. Now in reverse, you have the same rule, but the 19th letter in reverse is H. So if you see a H in the reverse reduction cipher, you can add plus 9 for that. Caller?
Blake Griffin's making his debut tonight for the Pistons.
Blake Griffin's making his debut tonight? Okay, that's a good tip.
Yeah.
I'll check that out.
Yeah.
All right, appreciate it. All right, that's a good tip. Let's see how many days after Blake Griffin's birthday it is then. Because if the Pistons do win, they'd make the Timberwolves 5-5. And remember last night, Minnesota made home teams 5-5 in Week 10. Sometimes you see this carry over between sports leagues. Blake Griffin, birthday. March 16th. It's 240 days after Griffin's birthday, which means it's his 241st day of his age, which is the 53rd prime. Was there a 53? No, there was not. Let me see what Blake Griffin equals in Gematria. So anyway, I just want you to understand that in reverse, if you see an H, you can add +9 for each H. In reduction, if you see an S, you can add +9 for each S. And it is good to keep those in mind because they do matter. Sometimes I forget them and I get burned. Blake Griffin, 64. Well, the Timberwolves could improve to 6-4 in his return. Here, since he's coming back for this game, let's see something real quick. Whoops, not state stats. See his all-time record against Minnesota. This wasn't one of the games I had an opinion on today, just because it was a little bit too tight, but maybe Blake Griffin can give us the winning piece here. He's on 17 wins versus Minnesota. Today has 61 date numerology, the 18th prime. And he has 6 losses, 17-6. 17's the 7th prime. Let me add this to the notes, though. Blake Griffin is making his return. He is 17-6 versus Minnesota. 61 date numerology. 18th prime, but 17 is also the 7th prime, so it's a little bit dangerous. NBA 17. Okay, but just other things I saw in this game. So again, if the Timberwolves lose, they fall to 5-5. Timberwolves is 55 in the most pure cipher, but it's got 1 S, so 64 also plays. And realize if a word has 2 S's in it, or even more than that, like Los Angeles Lakers, for example, don't just add +9 more because there's an S in it. You got to add +9 for each one of these S's in Lakers. So like Los Angeles Lakers is 58. You have to add +9 for all those S's. So it's also 85 like basketball. Okay, just want to make sure that was clear. And same with the H in reverse. So Timberwolves, you could make sense of them being 5-5 or 6-4. And what we just say, Blake Griffin was 64. And if you ever are conflicted between the numbers, if there's one cipher you want to roll with over all the other ones, I mean, they're all important, but this dark blue one is the most important cipher. Blake Griffin. Okay. So either team can become 4-2 in their away or home record. Detroit's on the 42nd parallel. Sometimes I'll look at coordinates. And I noticed that if Detroit lost this game and their next home game, they would fall to 3-4 at home, and then they would play Orlando. Or they'd fall to 3-4. Or excuse me, they host Atlanta next. ATL's 33. Atlanta's been missing the 33 riddles though so far this year. But if they lost this one and to Atlanta, they would go into the Orlando game at home 3-4, and Orlando's 34. So doesn't mean it's going to necessarily go that way, but I was just trying to find some winning clues here for this one. So Detroit's a little bit of a favorite at home. Timberwolves 55 in the most pure cipher with the 55 riddle yesterday. I mean, I'm sort of leaning Detroit, but I think there's better games on the board today. The Mavericks and Celtics game, what stands out about this game is who both teams play next for their respective home and away records. The Mavericks play at the Knicks next. So if the Mavericks lose, they're 4-1 away going into the Knicks game. Knicks and Dallas equals 41. And we saw how in that other game the Knicks might upset Dallas in Dallas, and they did. Porzingis, that game was 98 days after Porzingis' birthday, National Basketball Association's 98. So anyway, the Mavericks would go in 4-1 to the Knicks game, and Knicks is 41 with the reverse cipher, so you can't get a 50 out of Knicks because there's no H in it. Somebody might out there being, but like, isn't Knicks 52? No, it's not. It's 41. And if the Celtics win, they're 4-0 at home, and then look at who they host next. Washington. Washington equals 50. Think about how many 50 riddles we've seen in the NFL this year with Washington. So both of these teams play the right opponents next. And it'll line up perfectly so long as the Celtics win. So on both sides, it makes sense. The only thing that I see that could go against the Celtics is NBA TV equals 31. The NBA TV riddles, they have been coming through a lot, but the last time there was an NBA TV 31 riddle, I faded it and went with the other things we were looking at. And the 31 didn't hit in that one, so based on who these teams play next, I like the Celtics here. It's also the 77th game in Boston, 77. So Boston, I believe they will get it done. The Grizzlies and the Spurs. San Antonio is a big favorite here. So there is one threat for the Spurs in this game. It is falling to 4-3 because Memphis does equal 43. And the Grizzlies, if they won, they would be 1-3 away. San Antonio's 41, the 13th prime, like 1-3. San Antonio, Texas also happens to sum to 191, the 43rd prime. So I was trying to think, like, are the Spurs really going to lose at home to the Grizzlies? I mean, that's kind of hard to believe. The next game will be the 97th game between these teams, and Memphis Grizzlies equals 97. 97 is the 25th prime, and the Spurs' next loss to the Grizzlies is 25. I'm thinking the Spurs are going to lose this next game to the Grizzlies. The 25 riddles usually hit hard with the Grizzlies. We've already seen one this year. Last year, these teams played each other tough, though. They went 1-1-1-1. They won. One team would win, the next team would win. If the Spurs do win today, they'll be 6-4 on Veterans Day. Veterans Day is 64. It's possible that plays in. If the Spurs win, they become 5-2 at home. And if they win their next game, which is against the Trailblazers, they'd be 6-2 at home. And San Antonio Spurs is 62. So there are a few things that could go sideways in between there, but the Spurs look pretty good this year. The Blazers are beat up right now, so beating the Grizzlies at home, beating the Blazers who are injured, it doesn't seem too far. Off. And I'm thinking that the Spurs, it probably makes sense again for them to pick up that 25th loss against the Grizzlies in the 97th game, because 97 is the 25th prime. So the Spurs aren't a great value tonight if you want to skip this game. The Grizzlies would be a great payout if they upset, but I mean, there's a chance. It's just the narrative's not super clear. And again, do remember, if the Grizzlies don't win tonight, they'll probably be a great payout in the next game, and I think they will get the Spurs in the next game if they don't get them tonight. So, and I think the next game would be the better riddle again, because that's the 97th game, the 25th prime, and Memphis Grizzlies is 97. So, note that here too, that Memphis Grizzlies is 97. Okay, the Rockets and the Pelicans game. Houston's a 5.5-point favorite on the road. It's the 65th game in the series. The Rockets are 37-27. If the Rockets win tonight, they'll get their 38th win in the series in Louisiana. Louisiana's 38. They'd stay on 27 losses on Monday. Monday's 27. The Pelicans have lost the last two, and they've lost the last three at home to the Rockets. Hold on, we got a caller here. Caller?
Zach, I apologize for interrupting.
It's okay.
Hey, man, listen, I spend every day in this chat room with these people. You got Richard in there trolling people left and right. Trolling your Patreons, telling your Patreons they suck when they pay you money.
I'm sorry, I'm not paying attention to the chat.
You're not paying attention to the chat. The problem with the chat is Richard Quinn's in there fucking with people, and he's fucking with your paying customers, telling them that he can't wait till you no longer do this and serve them because they're greedy for wanting sports picks. This is what we do, man.
Okay. Well, Rich does like to fight with everybody, so...
And you tell you the truth, man, he's in there disrupting the whole chat. The chat was fine before Richard got there.
Okay.
This is the point. That's the flat point, man. Just the end of it.
Okay. All right. Thanks for the heads up, man.
Good to see you.
All right. All right. Thanks, man. All right, Rich, stop fighting with everybody, man. So, you guys, the thing about Rich is like, I think Rich means well, but Rich's personality is to fight and argue with everybody. So, anyway, all right. Rich, just, I don't know why you're always fighting with everybody. A lot of people think that you are a troll. I personally give you the benefit of the doubt. I don't think you're a troll, but a lot of people say all Rich does is just come and spam and fight with everybody. So, anyway, and here we are having to pause from the live stream to talk about this. So, I don't know why you got to do it all the time, man. You got to stop doing that. And I don't know everything that he's written. I'm not even going to go back and look, but all right. Yeah, just chill out, Rich. Okay. The Rockets and the Pelicans game. So, okay. Rich is calling in now. Hold on. What's up, man?
No, good luck, man. I'm done with you because I'm out here sticking out. I see what all these motherfuckers are doing in the chat, and you just got trolled by a troll. So, you know, I'm shutting Daily Dose down.
All right, then do it, Rich. All right, I'm hanging up on Rich. If that's what Rich wants to do, then all good. And if I did get trolled by a troll, that's fine too. But, I mean, I just know that a lot of people who aren't trolls are just like, man, Rich is just always fighting with everybody. So, okay, back to the Decode. Rockets and Pelicans. If the Pelicans lose, they will be 2-8, and Rockets is 28 in the most pure cipher. Rockets does also equal 37 because it has the S in it, but the 28 plays a lot harder with the Rockets, so the Pelicans falling to 2-8 against the Rockets most likely. And the one thing that could go in the Pelicans' favor, though, in light of Rockets having the 37 connection, is the next team they play is Los Angeles. So if they win this game, they're 3-7 to face Los Angeles. But at the same time, a little bit tricky because Los Angeles is also 109, the 29th prime. And if the Pelicans lose, they're 2-9 against Los Angeles, like 29. Los Angeles is 109, the 29th prime. That said, the Clippers... Hold on. I don't think I meant to write... I don't think I meant to write Clippers. I think I meant to write Pelicans there. Hold on. I wrote the wrong word. My fault. Caller?
Someone brought up a really good point. I know we're going basketball, but last year the 49ers hosted the Giants on Veterans Day, and they lost 27-23, total 50 points.
Say it again?
Sure. In the chat, someone brought up a good point that the Niners played the Giants last year on Veterans Day, and they lost 27-23, 50 points.
Oh, okay. Last year on Veterans Day, 50 was the tribute, too.
Yeah. So I just thought I'd bring that up, too. That was all.
And what teams were those again?
Frisco and the Giants.
So it was a San Francisco game as well.
November 12th. Yeah, someone brought it up in the chat, so you can verify it, but that's what the
Well, I'm sure it's true, man. San Francisco and 50 shows up all the time, so...
Yeah,
all right.
I found that interesting. A year later, it's 50 day, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear it. All right, appreciate it, man.
Brother.
All right,
Yeah,
see
man.
you. Okay, hold on. Yeah, the Pelicans. Okay, I wrote the wrong thing. The Pelicans. That's what I meant to write. Pelicans host LA Clippers next. Okay. So if the Pelicans lose tonight, they're 1-3 right now, like the reflection of 31. Houston's 31. If they lose tonight, they're 1-4, and then they host LA next, and LA is also 14. So looking at their next opponent, it would also make sense if they fell to 1-4 at home. And The one concern for the Rockets is they lose. They're 3-3 away. Pelicans is 137, the 33rd prime. So it's not a one-way street. But in fact, in light of the fact that 28 plays pretty well with the Rockets, and the Pelicans can fall to 2-8, and then be 1-4 to host LA, probably the most likely outcome there. So there is a potential upset narrative though. That 137, the 33rd prime is the best thing the Pelicans have going, and also if the Rockets win, their next away game is in Minnesota. So if the Rockets win, they'd be 4-2 away with a chance to become 5-2 away in Minnesota, where 52 plays hard. So looking at the Rockets' next away game gives them a shot at 5-2, but they got to win tonight to do that. And the Rockets, I suspect that they will be 8-4 after their next 3 games. Let me look at their schedule again, because I know they got the Pacers coming up. One, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, they might end up dropping that game to the Pacers. It's back at home, though. Oh, no, never mind. Hold on. Got dyslexic again. So they got the Pelicans on the road. Then they host the Clippers. They might drop that game and then beat the Pacers at home to be 8-4. And then their next road game is at Minnesota. And that's where they could become 5-2 away. And I just thought about one other thing on the 8-4. So that is possible. I'm going to get rid of that note because Timberwolves also have the 93 connection, so maybe they could even win them all and get to 9-3. But yeah, I think the Rockets have a slightly better narrative here tonight based on the upcoming games and the fact that 52 can hit. And think about last night's Sunday Night Football game with Minnesota, 52 combined points. So all right, the Raptors and Clippers game. I think the riddle's through Kawhi Leonard here tonight. Kawhi can become 8-2 versus the Raptors. Toronto Raptors is 82. And if the consider the Clippers also played against Los Angeles last night, so they're playing back-to-back against 2 good LA teams. I mean, to beat them both would be pretty impressive. Of course, the 8-2 could play in the Raptors' favor because they could become 8-2 as a team. But if they lose and the Clippers win, both teams are 7-3. Los Angeles is 37, the reflection. And I think since Kawhi, he's coming over from the Raptors last year, I think him getting to 8-2 versus the Raptors, I think that's where the riddle's at. It usually is with the star players when there's something like that. Last night, Victor called in. I missed it in my decode yesterday. I regret that I did. But last night, by LeBron losing to the Raptors, he became 41-13 versus the Raptors. LA's 41-13. So I think Kawhi becomes 8-2 versus the Raptors tonight. And if the Raptors don't win tonight, they'll stay on 27 wins versus the Clippers on Monday. Monday's 27. And that was also with the Rockets game too. If they don't lose tonight, they stay on 27 losses versus the Pelicans. So that's the one other thing that's there. And the Jazz and Warriors game, this one's tricky. If Utah loses, they're 1-4 away. That number plays big with Utah 14, just like how the Warriors are 1-4 at home to host Utah. Let's see. This game will be going on during Monday Night Football. Just thinking if there's anything there between that. Chase Center, where the Warriors play, equals 47, the 15th prime. If they did lose at home tonight, they'd be 1-5 at home. And let's see. Hold on. I see I got... if the Jazz win this game, they would be 2-3 away, and then they face Memphis next. Memphis is 83, the 23rd prime, and Memphis is also in Tennessee. Tennessee's 137, the 33rd prime. So if the Jazz won this game and the next game, they'd have a chance to become 3-3 in Tennessee. And I'll add that here too. Okay, so there's that. And the concern for the Jazz is if they lose this game, they're 6-4 to face the Brooklyn Nets next, and Brooklyn Nets is 64. So that's also possible. You know, teams won't always go in with the perfect gematria against the next opponent, but it does happen more often than not. So that's one thing that could go against the Jazz, falling to 6-4 to face the Brooklyn Nets next. And if the Warriors lose this game tonight, they would be 2-9, like 29. They play Los Angeles next. Los Angeles equals 109, the 29th prime. So, little bit hairy here. Utah's a pretty big favorite on the road. The Warriors, let me double check something with Steve Kerr too. Let's see how many losses he's on right now. Steve Kerr. His next loss is 97. And that is not a Utah Jazz number. Double check something real quick. Okay, so anyway, basketball, Timberwolves and Pistons is a little bit dicey, but Timberwolves do lose. They're 5-5. Timberwolves is 55 in the most pure cipher. So is Minneapolis, their home city. The Celtics, they win tonight. Sets them up to become 5-0 at home against Washington. Washington 50. The Mavericks lose. They become 4-1 away. Dallas is 41. So is Knicks. They play the Knicks next. So they go in with the perfect record to face the Knicks. And I suspect that's what the Mavericks will do. They'll lose tonight and then beat the New York Knicks in the revenge game back in New York because New York Knicks equals 74. So they lose tonight to fall to 6-4. They beat the Knicks to get to 7-4. If the Mavericks did win tonight, which I don't think will happen, they might lose to the Knicks again to fall to 7-4. But again, the home and away records are set up perfectly as long as the Celtics win. The Grizzlies and Spurs, I don't know if they're worth the risk because they don't pay much tonight. They probably get it done, but again, there is the one narrative there that they could fall to 4-3 at home because Memphis equals 43. Again, I think it's more likely they win. If they're going to lose one of the next two home games, it would probably be to the Trailblazers. But it's very possible they do win those next two home games to get to 6-2 because San Antonio Spurs is 62. And then Rockets and Pelicans. Pelicans have a little upset riddle. It's the Rockets falling to 3-3 away because Pelicans is 137, the 33rd prime. But Rockets seem to be the better call here. Caller?
So Gordon Hayward, he broke his hand, fractured his hand in his last game.
Yeah, he's Mr. Glass.
What's that?
He's Mr. Glass.
Yeah, oh, that guy is ridiculous. But anyway, I think it's just like a setup. I think the Celtics are going to go on a little run here. That's how it usually goes. That's the narrative. So
yeah, I don't think he's that important of a player, honestly. So.
Nah, I don't think so either. And then also, I was trying to find out what Steve Kerr's record is against the Jazz. Do you know how to look up the coaches' splits versus teams?
I've never actually seen that category on this site. So.
Got it. Okay, I thought that might be helpful. I know how to do everything else. I couldn't find that one.
Yeah, I've never seen their splits versus individual teams. So.
Got it. Okay, cool. And just to let you know, the line opened up 10.5 and dropped to 8.5. Pretty weird.
You're saying for which game?
Oh, for the Utah game. It opened 10.5 and it dropped to 8.5.
Okay. So people are betting the Warriors to cover then, huh?
Seems like it, yeah.
Well, they played decent. I mean, they just beat the Blazers at home, so.
Yeah. Warriors, well, they've been shooting the ball pretty well in the first half, especially in the first quarter. I know it's nothing to do with Gematria, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. So.
All right, Zach.
All right, man. Appreciate it. Okay, so again, just from the top, Timberwolves and Pistons, a little bit dicey. I got a slight lean towards the Pistons, but I'm not crazy about that game. I think the Celtics have the best riddle here because of the respective home and away records. Spurs and Grizzlies. Spurs don't pay much tonight. Again, I don't know if I'd take the risk because, again, there's a possibility they fall to 4-3 at home. But I am thinking that I'd like to see the Spurs win tonight. I suspect they will because then it'll set up a good narrative for the Grizzlies in the next game. And I suspect that'll be a lucrative payout. And here, let's just see when they play again next, Spurs and Grizzlies. All right, hold on. I guess I can do it this way. Where's the next game? December 23rd. Okay. Okay. I just want to see if there's a 25 date or anything on the next game. There's not. All right, and then Rockets and Pelicans. Rockets are likely winning here to set them up to go 5-2 away in Minnesota for their next away game. They got a bunch of home games before that, but looking down the road, I think that's what's most likely there. Raptors and Clippers. Again, Toronto Raptors does equal 82. There is a chance the Raptors get to 8-2, but I think the riddle's through Kawhi Leonard. If he wins tonight, he's 8-2 versus the Raptors. And I think that's what it's all about, Kawhi versus old team. And actually, let's see how many days it is from June 13th. That's the day they won the championship. How many days is it from that to today? It's 151 days, which is the 36th prime, and Toronto's 36. Is there any 36 on the board in this game? No, but that is interesting. I wonder if somebody scores 36 in the first quarter. Okay. All right, and then Jazz Warriors. Yeah, I'd probably let this one go because if the Jazz do lose, they're 6-4 going into that Nets game. It's very possible that happens. But again, there's some things in the home and away records that make it unclear. So Warriors would be a nice upset, but they don't have a strong enough narrative to be confident about it, in my opinion. So, all right. Okay, so that's basketball. And then hockey, there's just 2 games today. Hockey on days where there's 2 games, there's usually at least one upset. There's usually a theme between the 2 games, too. Notice the Capitals are playing and the Senators. So I'm thinking, the Capitals and the Senators. So what's going to happen there? If Washington was upset and lost in overtime, they'd have 1 point in this game. Coyotes equals 30. So if there's going to be one upset tonight, that might be the more likely upset narrative. Arizona, if they won tonight, would pick up their 22nd points of the season. Today is 11-11. 11 plus 11 is 22. The Coyotes play the Blues tomorrow. Blues is 23. So if they can accumulate 3 points in the next 2 games, which would be an overtime loss and a win, they'd have 23 points after facing the Blues. Doesn't necessarily have to happen, but that's the points riddle that could work out based on the next opponent. And for looking deeper down the road, their game after the Blues is against the Wild. Wild equals 21 and 24. So it's like, if they only scored 1 point in the next 3 games, they are playing on the road against tough teams. I mean, Capitals and Blues are 2 of the best teams in the league right now. So, hold on, we got a caller here. Caller?
Oh, Zach?
Yeah. Yeah, you're on.
Oh, I didn't know I was in the middle of something. I got a rather personal conversation I'd like to have with you sometime.
I'll call you back because I'm doing a live stream right now.
Okay, thanks, Zach.
All right, you're welcome. Take care. Okay. So there is a points riddle for Washington to get upset tonight, to be on 30 points after facing the Coyotes. You know what else should be pointed out here is those 31 is the 11th prime, and they could get their 31st point. Could pick up 31st point on 11th day of 11th month. So that is there. And again, these hockey days where there's just 2 games, they are really weird. The other thing that does stand out for Washington is if they win tonight, they'll have 6 wins and 3 combined losses, so 6-3 at home. And Capital One Arena, where they play, is 63. Notice they're 13-5 for the season right now. Capitals is 135. Capital One Arena is also 135. The arena names do play, so the best riddle for the Washington to win is to become 6-3 at home. Not much of a payout. And again, these days where there's just 2 games, a lot of funny outcomes. And then the Senators and Hurricanes. The Hurricanes are struggling to pick up their 21st point. Carolina does equal 73, the 21st prime. They missed out on that on a 21 date numerology not long ago at home against a team that wasn't that great. So, anyway, this is the 107th game between these 2 teams. Notice if the Hurricanes won, they would be 10-7-1, like 107 in the 107th game. And if the thing that could go against Carolina tonight is Carolina and Ottawa both equal 37. Their next loss in regulation is 37. Doesn't have to come today, but that is one thing that's there. And Ottawa, if they lose tonight, they'll be 1-6-1 away. They've really struggled on the road. Carolina equals 53, the 16th prime, so they'd be 1-6, like 16. Carolina and Hurricanes are both 53. And Ottawa has a tough road schedule coming up. If they lost their next 4 road games in regulation, they'd be 1-9-1. Ottawa Senators is 191. Also, Carolina, if they win tonight, they are 7-3 at home, and Carolina's 73. So they can become 7-3, the 21st prime, and get their 21st points. So there's quite a few things there that point to the Hurricanes, even though these days are weird. But they're a huge favorite, so... Caller?
So overall, the Capitals are going for 7 in a row and 6 in a row at home.
Okay.
So I don't know if that ties into anything. And then Ottawa is the capital of Canada, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it is. So that's, I mean, you got both these capital cities of these 2 nations playing on the same day. So it's like, what's up with that?
You know, and also this guy, Don Cherry, he's a hockey legend in Canada. He got fired today from his, he hosts like this famous, this show. I forgot what it's called though. You can look it up. But he got fired for making racist comments about immigrants. So I'm thinking it somehow perhaps ties into this game here. On Veterans Day, nonetheless, right?
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. So.
Yeah.
What's his name again? Don Cherry?
Don, D-O-N, Cherry.
Yeah, Don Cherry.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Carolina's been playing like shit the last couple games.
Yeah, they've really struggled, and they had a great riddle they squandered the other day. So.
Yeah, and usually with these 2 games, you get one pretty high dog to win.
Yeah, usually on the days where I've seen it plenty of times where both teams upset on the day where there's only 2 games, but usually there's at least one that upsets. So
Yeah, no, it's true. So maybe pay attention to Washington. Capital look good tonight, I think, and maybe go the other way with Ottawa. Who knows?
Yeah. Both the favored teams at home have records that make a lot of sense if they win tonight for their home record, but still, usually on these nights, at least there's one upset. So
yeah, it's screwy. And then I think, in my opinion, just examining what you've been saying in your notes, I think the Celtics look like the best pick today out of all the sports.
Right, because it makes sense on both sides, and that's the only game today where you get a good, clear riddle on both sides. So
yeah, and you get pretty decent value. That's the way I see it.
That's also what I like about that game, right? It's close. So
yeah. Oh, is that?
All right, man. Appreciate it. Okay. Yeah, I agree with what he just said there about that game. But yeah, hockey again. I still want to observe these things and figure out what is going on these days of 2 games. Because hockey's the sport I've had the least experience decoding, but we caught onto it real fast with the points. And again, like I said at the beginning of the live stream, ESPN about 4 days ago, or maybe 5 days ago now, stopped putting the points up. And it's not that I'm not zoomed in enough, just ESPN stopped putting it on their page. And I'm just like, okay, why would they stop showing the points? It's like one of the most crucial stats in hockey. And, I mean, even when you zoom in, it still doesn't show up, so... And I've just noticed since they did that in that period of time, the points riddles have not been as consistent. So I'm like, okay, what the hell? But yeah. So anyway, and again, like I said the other day when they stopped putting up the points, I said this reminds me of the beginning of last MLB season when all of a sudden ESPN couldn't keep the stats right for baseball. If you followed baseball for the first 2 weeks, the stats were fine, and then after like 2 weeks, we did really well at the beginning of the season. Then all of a sudden, ESPN was misreporting the stats for every team. They had the wrong win and loss record, the wrong home and away record. So we had to switch over to MLB.com. And I was like, are they doing this because they know that we're using their page for our reference? Or like, what is going on? So anyway, just makes me wonder. We are doing things that I know certain people don't like. So let's review everything real quick. And then we'll call it a day, and I'll get to decoding NFL Week 11. And okay, so whoops, that's not what I want to do. All right, Monday Night Football. You got a riddle for the ages here, and I don't even really need the notes to tell you what's up. So today leaves 50 days left in the year. We know about San Francisco and 50. It's the big San Francisco number. The 50 that could play for the Seahawks is then becoming 5-0 away. But the 50 that can play for the 49ers seems a lot more monumental. They'd get their 50th win on Monday Night Football. It's the 50th season of Monday Night Football. San Francisco equals 50. And which one did I forget? Did I say it's the 50th season of Monday Night Football and they'd get their 50th all-time win on the day leaving 50 days left in the year? So that's the primary riddle for the 49ers. And on the Seahawks side, besides the 50 thing, Seattle has a chance to become 8-2. Seattle's 82. If Russell Wilson wins, he'll be 8-2 on Monday Night Football as well. So that's a nice little riddle. Today, Washington State turns 130 years old, and Pete Carroll, strangely enough, can get his 130th win in the regular season with the Seahawks. Today is literally Washington's 130th birthday, and Washington equals 130. Washington also equals 140 when you run the alphabetic order in reverse, and if Carroll won, he'd get his 140th all-time win with the 140 all-time counts postseason wins. So, I mean, that's interesting. And then the other stats that don't fit into that, you can make an argument for Russell Wilson getting his 83rd regular season win. If he does, God, I might even have to consider the Seahawks as a Super Bowl team because today's 83 days to the Super Bowl and football equals 83. Wilson could get his 39th loss in the regular season, though, and 49ers equals 39. And if Wilson did lose today, he would become 4-4 at San Francisco. Seattle's 44. Veterans Day's 44. I see something that should be up there that's not. MNF is 12. If he won, he'd get his 12th win versus the 49ers on Monday Night Football. But if he loses, he becomes 4-4 at San Francisco. And what else was there? Jimmy G. He's 7-0 at home. So this is a potential streak of 8. Again, the streaks of 8 were perfect until last week, so they're not as valuable as they were. But streaks of 8 still have been good this year. If Jimmy G won, he'd get his 8th straight home win as a starter. He's never lost at home. Seattle does equal 19, the 8th prime. If Jimmy G lost, he'd be 16-3. It was pointed out that if you write out 49ers, it equals 163, which is the 38th prime, and gold equals 38. Remember, they hosted the golden anniversary of the Super Bowl on the 38th day of the year, which Colorado won from the 38th state. Colorado equals 38. And what's the other thought about that? Wilson. There was something with Wilson. Wilson, if he won, he'd be 83-38 in the regular season. So if the 49ers did lose tonight, they would be 8-1 overall. They play the Cardinals next week. Cardinals is 81. And we look down the road. I think if the 49ers win tonight, they'll probably go undefeated at home. So, and the reason that was is because we looked down the stretch and we saw that if the 49ers won their next... Right now, they're 3-0 at home. So if they win today, they'd be 4-0. And then who they play next week is the Cardinals. So they should win that. They'd become 5-0 at home versus the Cardinals. San Francisco's 50. And then I forget who they play. But then the next game's the Falcons. Falcons is 70. They'd become 7-0 at home versus the Falcons. And then their last home game's against the Rams. And if they won that, they'd be 8-0. And Levi's Stadium equals 80. So it definitely looks like a special year for the Niners. If the Niners win today, don't forget Super Bowl 54 is the 50th of the modern era. And this would be a giant 50 tribute on the day, leaving 50 days left in the year. So I got to check something real quick. In light of sports crossovers, I want to see how many days it is from August 11th to today, because there was a big they celebrated the 1989 World Series Earthquake team. It was the Giants-Pirates game on August 11th. And I just want to see if there's anything there. 92 days, 13 weeks and 1 day. I'm just thinking about how the Steelers became 5-4 yesterday, and how the steel to build the Golden Gate Bridge is from Pittsburgh. So, Pittsburgh and San Francisco are both 52. Remember, Pittsburgh got their 50th win on Monday Night Football this year. Pittsburgh and San Francisco are the 50 cities. So, yeah, it is a really dangerous game. Obviously, you get a lot more value in a Seahawks win. A guy called in and made that exact point, and he said if I was going to play tonight, I'd have to take him just because the value's there. I hear that logic, but at the same time, I still think it's really dangerous because there is a great riddle on the board for Seattle, but, man, how do you fade the 50 riddle for the 49ers? 50th season of Monday Night Football, 50 days left in the year. San Francisco, who hosted Super Bowl 50, can pick up the 50th win. I mean... Again, I packed it in this week, and I regret that I did. I packed it in too early. We could have had an epic week because we had the right read on almost every game, especially the big upsets, but I didn't bring my cojones this week, so anyway. Motivation for next week. But yeah, to me, I'd rather just save up for next week and play it safe. Basketball tonight, one more time. Timberwolves Pistons, I think this one's tight. But if the Timberwolves do lose, and they might lose because Minnesota had such a great weekend of football, right? I mean, they had a great weekend of football. The college team, remember the college team won on the day, leaving 52 days left in the year. And then the Sunday night football game, 52 combined points. Minnesota 52, like how they hosted Super Bowl 52. But anyway, if the Timberwolves lose tonight, they're 5-5. Timberwolves is 55 in the most pure cipher. Last night, home teams became 5-5 on Sunday night football against Minnesota. So T-Wolves, very possible they fall to 5-5. It's just they have an S in the name, and Timberwolves is also 64, so getting to 6-4 is not out of the question. Blake Griffin's 64. He's making his return tonight. We did see that Griffin could get his 18th win versus the T-Wolves all time. And today does have the 61 date numerology, which is the 18th prime number. So that's interesting as well. Hold on. Did I say who the Timberwolves were playing away next? Their next away game is the Jazz. Okay, they don't have a 52 connection. All right, there's no clue in that. Well, if they split their next 2 away games, they'd be 4-3. 43, the 14th prime. Utah's 14. All right, so anyway, that one's a little bit dicey, but the 5-5, I think that's the most likely number to show up. Oh, as I say that out loud, you know what? Okay, the whole time what I was sleeping on, I see something now that I didn't see before. Today is the 11th day of the 11th month. 11 is the 5th prime number. So, All right. 5-5 on 11-11, maybe. If Detroit loses tonight, though, there's a chance they drop those next 2 home games. So it's the one concern. Mavericks and Celtics. This one to me, I like the read here. Mavericks lose, they're 4-1 away. The next team they play equals 41. That's the Knicks. Knicks 41, so is Dallas. So it would make sense for the Mavericks to be 4-1 away based on their own name and who they play next. And then the Celtics play Washington next. If you've been with us through the NFL season, we've documented quite a few 50 riddles with Washington. It's part of the reason we like the Patriots to start the year 5-0 because they did it against Washington. Washington's 50. So Celtics win tonight. They're in prime position to become 5-0 versus Washington 50. So I like how it lines up on both sides for the Celtics. The Grizzlies and Spurs. Spurs aren't a great payout tonight. There is a chance they get upset, but like I said, I think the Spurs will win tonight, and I think they will lose the next game to the Grizzlies because the next game's the 97th game, the 25th prime. They can get that 25th loss in that game. Sometimes you do see the team pick up the prime number relationship one game early before they go into that prime game, though. It does happen. Caller?
Yeah, I'm sorry. If the Timberwolves win today, they become 5-2 out of conference, if I'm not mistaken.
That's a good stat that you caught there. Let me check that one out real quick. So you're saying they've already played that many games against the Eastern Conference?
Weird, right?
That is weird. Hold on. In their own conference, they're 1-2 right now. 1-2. So let's subtract. So that means they're 4-2 right now out of conference. You're right. Yeah, that's tricky. Okay, well that's tricky. That's hard to go against, man, because that's a Minnesota 52 riddle.
Yeah, no, that's why I bring that to your attention there. And
yeah,
I like the 8 snapping today. I like T-Wolves. Sharks play like shit.
They started off better, but yeah, they've been rusty lately. But now they got Griffin back, so yeah.
Well, we'll see if he can spark a difference. But 52 is pretty good.
Yeah, that's a good catch with the 4-2 out of conference. All right.
It's not the best game, we know that already, but still,
yeah, it's dangerous.
Yeah,
All right. Appreciate it, man. I do like a Minnesota 52 riddle, though. Man, I can't believe they already have that many games versus the Eastern Conference. That doesn't make any sense. Okay. And the riddle is there for the Pistons to lose their next 2 home games. That is one thing that stood out. Ugh. All right. I'd be careful with that game. Mavericks and Celtics, though. Again, Celtics and Mavericks, it lines up on both sides. I love when that happens. The Grizzlies and Spurs. Again, Spurs, they don't pay much. One more time. The risk is them falling to 4-3 at home because Memphis is 43. We saw the 43 hit with Memphis already once this year. But I'm thinking that the Spurs are going to lose that 25th game in the series in the 97th game because 97 is the 25th prime. And if the Spurs do win tonight, it gives them a shot to get to 6-2 at home. San Antonio Spurs is 62. Their next game, though, is against the Trailblazers, and Trailblazers is 53, so things to think about there. Rockets and Pelicans, if the Rockets win tonight, it gives them a chance to become 5-2 away in their next away game, which is against Minnesota. Minnesota in 52 just seems to come together all the time. And just like the caller pointed out, I mean, it could even happen again tonight, but yeah, I still don't know because that 5-5 could go against them. So Rockets likely get the W. The concern for the Rockets is if they lose, they're 3-3. Pelicans is 137, the 33rd prime. But to get to 5-2 versus Minnesota, they have to win tonight. And if the Pelicans do lose, they're 1-4 at home. LA equals 14. That's who they play at home next, LA. So, and then Raptors and Clippers. Toronto Raptors does equal 82. They played last night against the Lakers and won. If they win back-to-back in LA, that's be an interesting statement. But again, I think it's about Kawhi. Kawhi wins tonight. He's 8-2 versus the Raptors. Again, Toronto Raptors is 82. So I think the riddle runs through Kawhi. It is interesting that today's 151 days after they won the championship on June 13th. 151's the 36th prime. Toronto's 36. Not exactly sure what to make out of that. If they win tonight, I guess I'll be like, oh, I guess I was playing Toronto. But usually when a star has a good riddle to face a team that makes sense, it's usually the way it pans out. Just like how last night, and I didn't catch this before the game, unfortunately, I should have. But LeBron, hold on, we got another call. Caller?
Hey, just to throw one more thing on that, the Clippers game. Kawhi's record, if he loses to Toronto, it would be 7-3 as well.
And
that could be significant because the Raptors just won the championship. His old team.
I didn't think about that. Okay, all right, yeah. And so 73rd NBA season. But if he wins, both teams are 7-3 overall.
Yes.
So
but if he loses, then Toronto I believe they get their tribute within Raptors. I don't know, 7-2 or whatever it is. I forget.
I like the Raptors being 7-3 in light of winning the 73rd NBA season, and Kawhi's team this year being 7-3 since he was on that team. Plus, the thing I've been forgetting to say is if the Clippers win, they're 6-1 at home on the 61 date numerology as well.
True, and what else? I think they would get their 13th all-time home win against the Raptors today.
The Raptors are 27-19. The Raptors would stay on 27 wins on Monday.
Clippers at home versus the Raptors.
They'd become 13-11 with a win.
Yeah, 13 in LA. Well, I just figured I'd throw that one. I think that's the only narrative for the Raptors to win tonight.
Yeah, you can make an argument for the 7-3 and 8-2 both directions, but I think it makes more sense if the Raptors team is 7-3 since they won the 73rd NBA season.
I dig it.
Yeah,
I dig it.
Yeah,
I got you.
All right, yeah, appreciate it, man.
Zach.
All right, see you. Okay. Yeah, I forgot that. Yeah, that was a good catch with the 73rd NBA season. Remember, Raptors won finals in 73rd NBA season with Kawhi. Both teams would be 7-3. We got to watch that about 7-4 since this is the 74th NBA season with the Clippers win. Because to me, that makes sense because Kawhi was part of that team. So that way you get the 73 on both teams. And 73 is also the reflection of 37, Los Angeles 37, plus 6-1 at home on the 61 date numerology. And there's... Okay. I'm still not in mid-season form with basketball. Finals equals 61. So that also makes sense because then to get to 6-1, Kawhi was the show. Kawhi was the star of the finals. His team's 6-1 against his old team. So, okay. Yep. Drake put out that album on Kawhi Leonard's birthday, June 29th. And the final song was March 14th, which is the 73rd day of the year, which is Steph Curry's birthday. Okay. Yeah, and I mean, again, the Raptors are playing back to back against tough teams too. So I mean, that'd be quite a statement if they won both. But I see the symbolism in both teams being 7-3. And then Jazz and Warriors, I personally wouldn't mess with this game. Again, if the Jazz lose, they're 6-4, and the next team they play is the Brooklyn Nets, which equals 64. There's also a riddle for the Warriors to lose, like we talked about. So let me look one more time at who the Warriors play at home next, just in case, because it would be nice to get a Warriors upset. They play Boston next at home. And yeah, I did see this earlier, but I couldn't figure out what would make more sense. And then after that, they got the Thunder at home. Yeah. Celtics. Yeah, because I didn't see any way that they could hit any of the typical Celtic numbers. Let me just make sure I didn't miss something one more time, just in case. Hold on. What's this? Not what I want. NBA cheat sheet. Yeah, I wish they could like fall to 2-6 or something, but it's not going to work out. It's going to be a game off. If they lose tonight, they're 1-5. Chase Center's 47, the 15th prime. I guess they get their 5th loss on the 11th of the month. But then the next team at home is the Thunder, and they don't really have a connection either. So, well, I guess what Oklahoma City Thunder does have is 101, the 26th prime. Let me think about that. So maybe they could beat the Thunder, Durant's old team, to get to 2-6 at home. That would be a winnable game. But if they won tonight, they could also drop the next two to Boston and the Thunder to get to that 2-6 as well. So it's still not certain that it's going to work that way tonight. And again, if the Jazz lost tonight, they'd be 1-4 away. Utah's 14. That number does play with Utah, so the upset is there, but if you like an upset narrative, I mean, you could use the Warriors as a nice parlay multiplier tonight. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of great games on the board because there's just not that many games today. But if you wanted to do one of those small parlay cards, if you just wanted to take the big upsets today and do a small parlay, you could throw the Warriors in there because they would be a great payout. But the narrative would be for the Jazz to fall to 6-4 because Brooklyn Nets equals 64, and to fall to 1-4 away because Utah's 14. I mean, it is there. But we also talked about why they could improve to 2-3 based on who they play next, Memphis, and why they could improve to 3-3 in that Memphis game and why that would make sense. So it's definitely not a lock. Okay. So that's basketball. And then hockey, it's a 2-game night. I always encourage you to stay away from the 2-game hockey nights because they are just so weird. You can see a really... I remember last year. I remember it very well because somebody got really mad at me. And I didn't encourage people to bet on the game because I said, well, I still remember what I said. I said there were two teams that were just gigantic favorites. Like, both the lines were like this. Like this. They might have even been more. They were both like negative 250, 260, both of them. And both of the teams that were huge favorites had strong riddles, like point riddles, just like everything lined up for them. So I was like, well, neither of these games pay anything, but it looks like it's a foregone conclusion here. And I mean, it really did. And we were doing well at hockey at the time. So there was a gentleman who laid down like a huge bet on both of them. Like, I'm talking like a $10,000 bet, and both of those teams lost. And he was super pissed. And part of me was going, well, like, why did you lay down that much money on teams that didn't hardly pay anything? But anyway, that's also what got in my mind that, there is something up with these nights with just 2 games. So always be careful on the hockey night with there's 2 games because, I mean, even, like, for example, if Carolina loses tonight, this is case in point. If Carolina loses tonight, notice they can get up to 21st points in Carolina and improve to 7-3 at home. Carolina 73. That's how both those games were that night, and neither one of them came through. And ever since then, my eyebrows have been up on the 2 game nights. And I've noticed, yeah, the 2 game nights are definitely funny. So, yeah, we'll leave it there. Remember, there's going to be a lot more games. Monday, there's not a lot of games, so I'm sure we'll have another good week. But just be patient. Wait till we get more to choose from. And tonight, you know what the best looking game is in basketball. And if football, if you're feeling lucky, take a stab. But 49ers aren't a great payout. Seahawks do have a great riddle. They are the better payout. But, man, you got to hope that 50 thing doesn't come through for the 49ers, and that's really hard to go against. So we'll leave it there. I'm going to get to working on the NFL Week 11 decode, and I'll try to get those notes out tomorrow morning. Last week I put out the NFL Week 10 notes on Tuesday morning, so I'm going to try to do the same thing. And hope you guys have a good rest of your day. So, before I left, Richard Sherman, we did look at Richard Sherman. I see Tracy asked that question, so I'll just throw that out there again. Today's Richard Sherman's 227th day of his age, which is the 49th prime. He plays for the 49ers now. So, you know, just to throw the devil's advocate narrative out there, Washington does equal 49 as well. And I imagine Tracy got here late, so go over these notes. I will update them, but there's just so many interesting things today. It's Washington State's birthday. Washington turns 130 years old today. And if Carroll wins, he'll get his 130th regular season win. So it's just like, wow, what are the odds of that, too? All right. One last call. What's going on?
Hey, Zach, are you off air?
Nope.
Oh, okay. I'll give you, when are you going to be off air, like 2 minutes?
Yep, about that.
Okay. I'll call you about 2 minutes then.
All right. See you, man.
Okay.
Okay. So, yeah, Richard Sherman is interesting. It's a perfect day for Richard Sherman to face his old team. But, yeah, very interesting riddle here for Monday Night Football. So all the notes are current and updated, and the game's starting in about a half hour. So if you want to think things through, I think we've turned over all the stones we can. All right, you guys. Oh, I see Ronald Elston's got a good thing here. Golden State record going to 3-8 would be tribute to Charles Rogers. What am I missing here with Charles? Oh, yeah, the football player. Okay. You had the death of the 38-year-old football player. You bringing that up, just in case people missed what I showed, there's 2 deaths in the world of Michigan State right now. Over the weekend, you had the death of Charles Rogers, who played football for Michigan State and the Detroit Lions. And then you also had the death of Cassius Winston's little brother. And the Cassius Winston news came first, his brother's death. Did you guys see the score of that game? 100-47. But his little brother supposedly walked in front of a train and committed suicide. And the name of the train was the Wolverine train, like the Michigan Wolverines, Michigan State Spartans. So as soon as I saw this, I was like, okay, let me look at the upcoming Michigan State basketball game. And from the death of the brother, November 9th to January 5th is 57 days. Of course, 57 is associated with sports championships, and Michigan State's #1 this year. They did open the season by losing to Kentucky. But notice they play Michigan exactly 57 days after the death, and Michigan State's 57. So that's definitely a riddle. And then this weekend in football, Michigan and Michigan State play each other. And now you get the death of the former Michigan State receiver, Charles Rogers. So I'm just trying to think why Ron said that the 3-8, I see the number for the day, but I'm thinking, okay, how's that sync up with the Warriors? So anyway, yeah, I just want to make sure people were aware of those stories too. So All right, yeah, you're welcome, Tracy. You're welcome, everyone else. We'll wrap it up there, and going to get to work on NFL Week 12 right now. So you guys have a great rest of your day, and try to start it tomorrow around the same time I started it today. All right, have a good night.